tornado warning or watch or advisory. The Missouri Department of Transportation is investigating the cause. Tomorrow marks the one-year anniversary of the devastating May 16th tornado, which damaged thousands of homes and killed 4 people. Missouri lawmakers, scientists, and utility representatives met this week to plan the future of advanced nuclear energy. Details from KTRS's Steve Potter.
The Missouri Department of Natural Resources kicked off the Missouri Advanced Nuclear Energy Task Force. Compared to existing commercial nuclear reactors, advanced reactors incorporate innovative technologies, such as passive safety features, alternative fuel or coolant types, and they're designed to be more compact. According to Department Director Kurt Schaefer, Missouri has the potential to serve not only the nuclear energy needs of Missouri, but those of other states as well. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. A popular Jefferson County taco truck business with a large online following has been given the green light to expand to a permanent location. The process took months due to opposition from neighboring residents and businesses in Imperial over concerns of parking. Nikki Ramirez and her husband Marco of Marco's Tacos built a successful business and have quite the following online. What started out as a second source of income during the pandemic has turned into lines around the block and more than 30,000 followers on Facebook. The Jefferson County Council has approved the plan and gave the couple the green light to start building a brick-and-mortar location in Imperial. Now, this look at the markets is brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement, Saturday mornings, 9 to 11. Wall Street at the close today, Dow Jones dropped 537 points to finish at 49,526. NASDAQ fell 410 to close at 26,225. S&P 500 dropped 92 points to close at 7,408. Now let's check sports and traffic with Captain Paul Kopsky.
So be the Cardinals and the Royals renew the I-70 series tonight at Busch Stadium. The Birds return home after a winning road trip to San Diego and Sacramento. And Mizzou and SLU basketball are reportedly slated to play a non-conference game at Enterprise Center to start next season. Our own Frank Cusimano was first to report the series was initiated by the two coaches and that it would be a 3-year deal. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. 64 West is heavy in front of Forest Park and in the Lake St. Louis Boulevard area. And in Illinois, 64 East is congested between 111 and 157. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, Captain Paul. KTRS weather today, mostly sunny, high of 85. Tonight, cloudy, overnight low of 67. Tomorrow, scattered thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon, high of 84. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 90. Right now, we have 84 degrees. The time is 3:08. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Repairing chimneys, walkways, porches, foundations, entire homes, anything to do with brick or stone, you need a tuck pointer you can trust, and that, of course, is Morelli. Morelli is a family-run business started in 1991, and they're only as good as their last customer. That's why when you check out the reviews online at MorelliTuckPointing.com, you'll notice that they're actual customers who are singing the praises of Morelli. So if you need a tuck pointer, you need Morelli. 314-645-1387 or MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Staples presents Celebrations Made Easy.
I was throwing a party for the twins and had custom invites and a banner printed at Staples. And that's when I saw Party City is now at Staples.
Party City? No way!
Yep. So now Staples has all your printing needs and everything you need for a party.
Everything times 2.
Yeah, and now at Staples, save 40% on custom cards, photo gifts, wrapping paper, banners, and more.
Big news! Party City is now at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. In 613, exclusions apply.
You know, that honey-do list isn't getting any shorter, and you got to make a dent into it. Can I recommend going somewhere to helping you out? Schnarr's Hardware. Schnarr's Hardware has 2 locations, one in Webster and one in Ladue. One great family, 2 great hardware stores. Schnarr's Hardware. When you walk in with that list, you say, okay, I think I know how to do this one, but these 3 I need help on. And you know what? The people behind the counter at Schnarr's Hardware, that's what they do best. They have the expertise, so they can help you with electrical, help you with plumbing, painting, really anything at Schnarr's Hardware. They're small, they're compact, but it's that friendly neighborhood hardware store that has been the way it's been here in America for years, right? You remember when your grandfather took you to the hardware store. That's Schnarr's Hardware. The popcorn and the advice are free. So when you go to Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations in Webster and in Ladue. Don't forget about the website, schnarrshardware.com. So for all your hardware needs and that honey-do list, Schnarr's Hardware or schnarrshardware.com.
We made it through another work week, but I gotta say, I don't know when there has been a better week in St. Louis. The weather has just been fantastic. It cooled off a little bit, but still gorgeous. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Heidi Glaus here with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey, and we've got a good show, I think, for you today. First up, we're going to talk to energy and environment reporter for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. There's been so much talk about data centers and so many communities pushing back against them. We wanted to know more. What do we need to know about data centers? What's truth and what is fiction? So we're going to sort through some of those things. And if you have a question yourself, please text us on the KTRS text line 84126. We'll also check in with Rich Frankel, ABC News, former special agent in charge of the FBI. It looks like Iraqi national has been charged with terror attack plans. So we'll see what led to this and what's next there. In the 4 o'clock, as we always do on Friday, Mike Ward will join us. And today we're talking about some great Italian wines. And I have to say, Italian wines intimidate me a bit. If I'm at an Italian restaurant, I will try them and usually like them. I just don't exactly know what to order.
And you know 100 times more than me, because I've actually texted you occasionally, hey, what's this wine, what's that wine? But being around Mike, you just by osmosis, you're going to learn some things. But I'm with you. Italian wines, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. And I don't know what to compare a Cabernet to or the only thing I know is Primitivo. That's the equivalent of a Zinfandel because I used to drink one all the time. And I'm trying to think of what, layer cake maybe? I don't remember which one it was, but it was fantastic.
And you think, you smash up a couple of grapes, you put it in a bottle.
Hey, Lucy, stomp the grapes.
Yeah,
let's make some
it.
wine.
It's all going to taste the same, but there's hundreds of different grape varieties out there.
And that's why we have Mike Ward joining us.
Hundreds of different ways to make the wine. It's crazy.
Yeah. We'll also get a sports report from Brendan Weesey in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll also check in with ABC's new news digital reporter. Have you guys seen Blue Dot Fever? Do you know anything about Blue Dot Fever?
Never heard of it.
Is that like something the ticks give you?
Does kind of sound like that.
What do I have to check
Blue
for?
tick,
You
blue tick
don't have
fever.
to worry about your health at all. Mason Leith will tell us how Blue Dot Fever is affecting summer concerts. So that's coming up. And then I'm looking forward to this conversation as well. We're going to chat with Charles Lindbergh's grandson. And find out what's going on with the Lindbergh Foundation. Of course, the 99th anniversary gala at the Missouri History Museum is going to take place. And can you believe we're just a year away from the 100-year celebration of the Spirit of St. Louis flight?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Eric Lindbergh. He'll be our guest later on in the show. 1960. He's only 61 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Lindbergh's grandson is 61 years old.
Time flies.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
How old would you expect him to be?
I don't know, because we were just talking before we went on the air. Chip Carey
Oh, we're talking about the Carey legacy.
is Harry Carey's grandson.
Uh-huh. And so his great-grandsons are working in the big leagues.
They're already, they've got jobs.
Yes.
But Joe
It's
Buck
amazing.
is Jack Buck's son.
Yes.
And
But
so, and I always just figured Jack and Harry
They'd all
were
be the
were
same.
contemporaries.
Yeah.
yeah, but that was a little later in Mr. Jack's life.
Well, Carol.
Second time around.
And
Right.
the
I mean,
boys.
so I don't think
Yeah.
we're
That's a
good point.
comparing apples to
Good
apples
point.
here.
Good point.
And Jack, this is a wild guess. I think was at least about 10 years younger.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. So I don't think we're comparing the same things.
That was a wild guess, but because Harry was doing Cardinal games
prior,
right after the war, and Jack came in 54, maybe, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Carey, born 1914.
And so Jack would
In
have been
St. Louis,
born in
Missouri.
what, about 1923?
Jack Buck, 1924, exactly
10
10
years.
years.
Yep.
Holyoke, Massachusetts. Jack Buck.
Every time we go, well, we don't go anymore, thank God. When the Billikens would go to play UMass, go up the highway
In Amherst.
and usually you fly into Connecticut and drive up, and you go through Holyoke every time, and I tip the cap.
Yeah.
Jack Buck's birthplace.
Does it
'cause
have a
he's my
sign
hero.
that said birthplace of Jack Buck?
I haven't looked through the town to find it. I hope
they
do.
have to.
You would hope so.
Right? They have to. So anyway, that's what we have coming up, and hopefully you'll hang out with us here and be a part of the show. Fridays are always kind of just exciting, aren't they? Because you have the whole weekend in front of you. Do you have big plans for the weekend?
Well, since I'm not out literally running around this weekend, for those of you who don't know, I have a minor leg injury. But I think we'll probably stay around the house. Got a lot of stuff to do. Kind of springtime stuff, even though we're right in the middle of spring, not early. Things I probably should have been doing a month ago. Stuff like that. I think we'll stick around the house.
Yeah, Marcia has been planting flowers the last couple of nights, and the yard looks absolutely fantastic. So I think, barring the rain tomorrow, I think we'll probably hang out around the house too. Probably go to the Art on the Square Art Festival in Belleville because it's always one of my favorites. We've purchased a couple of things there over the years.
I've been there 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
It's really neat. How eclectic. I mean, I was going to say anything you could think of. No, a lot of it you wouldn't even think of.
No.
It's been turned into art. They do a great job.
And I don't know if you know this or not, but Art on the Square, which is right there around Veterans Memorial Fountain in downtown Belleville, which I think they've done a fantastic job. The entire street is really cool. But it's been ranked number 1 and number 2 in the nation by Art Fair Sourcebook over 10 times.
Wow.
So it's not just me saying it. I mean, a lot of people think it. And this year's show will feature the original work of more than 100 accomplished artists from more than 27 states and even a couple of artists outside of the U.S. So it'll be really cool. And there's, music and there's food and there's drinks. It's really a fun 3-day party, and it kicks off here in about 30 minutes.
And Belleville's done a great job in working hard to preserve and upgrade their downtown so that Belleville has a real downtown. Like many cities of that size, it starts to get a little suburban sprawl.
And things move out.
But recognizing that if you have a heart of your community, that it makes it a much better community. And I think they've done a good job.
Yeah.
We need to ask them what they did and try to replicate it for downtown St. Louis.
Well, it's not quite the same size.
I know.
It's Josh.
Someone says, does Belleville really have the longest main street in the world?
That's what they're known for.
9.2 miles is how long their main street is. However, there's a town, Island Park, Idaho. Their main street is 33 miles long. I think that's probably a technicality.
It's probably way out in potato farm land.
Yes.
And it's just the same
Has
road, so they called it Main Street.
No business being called
no
Main Street
houses.
all the way out there. I agree. Let's just call it Belleville.
We're going to say Belleville.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, they've done a great job. Josh, what do you got planned?
We have a birthday party to go to for one of Finn's little buddies.
Nice.
It's at Slick City.
Oh, yeah.
Slide City, Slick City. It's all slides. There's like 20 different slides, and they range from, a regular, boom slide to one that spins around like a toilet bowl to ones where you leap off and land in an airbag.
Oh, wow.
We took him there a couple months ago, and he absolutely loved it.
Where is this place?
So they have one in Chesterfield, but the one we're going to is the new one. It's in the old Joann Fabrics off of Mid Rivers Mall. So, as they always say, when a Joann Fabrics closes, another Slick City opens. That old phrase.
I did not know that.
He's going to love that, and then he's going to spend the night with his cousins because we're going to a wedding.
How is he spending the night away from you two, you and Di?
Okay.
Is he getting better?
Guys, what I've noticed is we are clearly wrapped around his finger.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't have to tell us that.
And he'll cry and he'll whine. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to Mama's. I don't want to go to this. I don't want to go to that. And then when he gets there, he has the best time of his life, but he knows that if he puts up a fight, we will cave like that. So, no. Now I'm just like, honey, let's go. He'll be fine.
You're the kid. Be quiet. We're going to Mama.
We're going to Mama's house, and we're spending the night. So he's okay. He's good.
Good.
I just wonder, at what point do kids start spending the night at their friend's house?
10.
10. And then Finn is 5. When he has a play, because we're going to try to do it this summer and have play dates with his little buddies because he won't see him because school will be out.
Oh, yeah.
He's 5 years old. Play date. Do I stick around or do I drop him off?
You got to ask the parents.
And then come back and pick him up?
Drop him off where?
At his friend's house.
Oh.
They might live across town or something.
I don't think you stay but I think you have to talk to the other parents.
And I would say, hey, can I stick around and help?
Yeah.
And they'll 99% of the time they'll say, no, we got it.
So at 5 years old, you drop them off and you leave. You walk in, you say hi, you say, I'll be back in 2 hours, and then...
I'm trying to remember what was our kids. They were going back.
It's so interesting.
Years. I don't know.
Today is a big day in our family because my nephew is out in Seattle and he's going through orientation for his internship at Boeing. But you're talking about Finn and spending the night, and he hated it as a little boy. He almost always would call, and my sister would go get him in the middle of the night. And
at
now,
his buddy's house.
Yeah, and now here he is, 20 years old and across the country and going to be there by himself, and he's so confident.
Probably loving it.
Yeah,
and sleeping like a baby.
Exactly.
Did he ever spend the night at your house?
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't have a problem with that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, because you're Heidi. I know.
Come on, Aunt Heidi.
I mean,
she's
might
the
have
fun
helped
aunt.
that, we let them draw all over the walls and do different things that they wanted to do. But
Popcorn at 10 p.m.?
Sure.
Why not?
How about some chocolate to go with that?
Yeah, no rules. And then I got to brag on my niece, too, because she had kind of her final presentation. They have to do a presentation at St. Joe where they kind of share what they learned and how they've grown.
Do they call it, at Ursuline, they call it like a capstone thing?
Something like that. It starts with a C. But anyway, the two teachers she presented in front of, I think, gave her a standing ovation and clapped. And so she called just screaming for about 30 seconds. It's over. She said it felt like a ton of bricks were off of her because she'd been preparing for it. And so, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's exciting for her.
It is.
When they're going through all that stuff, it's so exciting to kind of live it with them and go through it. In fact, when we were just the other day, we were talking about kids in time or something, and Jen had texted me one of those emojis with the tears that Brendan came home from his junior. He's got 1 year left, and then he's grown.
Empty nesters.
1 year. Well, he'll be at home for a while, but he's grown.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
It
I
really
gotta
does.
tell you,
We're useless now.
When we boomerang back to Mom and Dad's house.
I love when you say we. Because
what do you mean we, Paleface?
You're the only one here.
No, I actually did it a couple times for financial reasons.
Yes.
And then back out again. But my parents had divorced. It was just kind of me and Dad hanging out.
Yeah,
It was
not the same.
And I took over half the house that was all mine. So that's full disclosure.
Right. I would argue we are rarely there. We're out doing stuff. We're probably in our young 20s, and we're seeing our friends, and we're going out at night, and then we go to work and this and that. And then even when we are there, it's not that same dynamic of having the kids in the house.
No.
I would posit right now, if I boomeranged back to my parents' house, which still on the table.
My parents have said absolutely not.
No,
they beg Marcia,
Really?
please put up with her because we do not want her in our basement.
Yeah,
Who's this number?
Change the locks.
Yeah, sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to say I think my parents would welcome me back in with open arms.
That's because you have false expectations, and you think that they
Put 'em on a lie
really want to
detector.
put up with you that much.
Oh, okay.
You think they would welcome you back?
I think they like the company. You know? How many
I'd
parents...
love to get your mom on the phone right now. Can we do that?
I'll see if she's busy. 84126 on the text line. Do you miss your kids?
Well,
or are you
that's
glad?
That's not the question.
That's not the
Would
question.
you want your grown children to live with you again? Or are you glad that they're out of the house?
Oldest one's out. Lucy's the middle one. She's home. Brendan's home for the summer. And I would expect, but who knows? He's going to get that business degree, and he might get a job
Somewhere
out of town.
else. Yeah.
You never know.
Are you excited to have him back?
Oh,
Thank you.
unbelievable.
Thank you.
But that's still
I
at a
rest
different.
my case.
That's college, though. That's a time of life. I think you also get to a certain age. Maybe you don't want your kids knowing everything you're doing.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that may or may not apply to me.
I don't know.
Somebody on the text line said, I have 2 different grandkids who their parents say they're not allowing sleepovers these days anymore.
Huh.
And I can't tell if that's 2 kids with the same parents or 2 different kids from 2 different sets of parents, no sleepovers.
It's definitely changed. You get a lot of people middle age to my age. Oh, well, when we were kids, we'd be gone all day, and parents didn't know where they were. You can't do that.
Sleep in the streets sometimes.
You cannot do that.
No, it's
anymore.
not the same.
It's an unrealistic. It's a false narrative. It doesn't work.
Well, and I think what's so different in learning this, just watching my niece and nephew kind of grow up, it's not the same being here in St. Louis and going to high school or even a grade school. You don't know every parent.
Absolutely not.
New Madrid, my mom and dad knew every single person in the town, basically, and they knew who you were staying with.
And if you were out and about, they knew you were in town and you were safe.
Yeah, and they knew that probably 10 other people would keep an eye on me. That's not the case when you live, in a city this size.
No, and who's to say in the 50s and 60s when I grew up and we were out running around all day that we were very safe? Who knows? But that's just the way it was.
Yeah.
Then.
And that person that Josh was talking about says they fear abuse and exposure, which I think that's the case a lot of times. You got to know whose house they're going to.
And they said it was 2 different sets of parents with kids each.
I think our neighbors who have a young girl, I don't know that she
will do sleepovers.
Yeah. With her grandma and with maybe friends as far as like we go, but I don't know about.
That's sad.
It really is. It's a part of childhood.
I'm not going to ask, I'm not going to call anybody a hypocrite here. But
As he looks at me, Heidi, did you see that?
Would these parents allow kids to sleep over at their house? Like, I don't want Jenny and Joey going to sleep over there, but they are more than welcome to come over here and sleep at our house.
I don't think that's a hypocrite. I think that is just knowing.
I know they'll be safe here.
Yeah, they're safe. I don't call that hypocritical. I think that's just.
Yeah, my kids did sleepovers, but, I was an older parent and maybe wasn't as
tight
and kind of emotionally concerned about every little thing.
I feel like when we finally do this, maybe at 10 or whatever, they'll be in the basement and they'll have to kick me out and say, Dad, can you go upstairs? Because I'm like, all right, what do you guys want to watch next?
I've been through that.
Have you?
It happens. But it's cool. It's your son that you love. His buddies, they're great guys. Hey, let's...
Yeah, you want to play bombardment? You guys ever play that, by the way?
I have no idea what that is.
The rolled up socks in the basement, you just throw them at each other. It's kind of like dodgeball, I guess.
Kind of like dodgeball?
Yeah.
No, never did. Never did, but I want to come over and watch you and Finn play.
We'll play bombardment.
We used to play, and I'm talking about the niece and nephew, with the Nerf guns.
Oh,
and it was diving over. I had so many rug burns trying to dive over
the
couches
couch.
and then landing on the carpet. I'm like, doing the army crawl back, trying not to get hit.
We
It's
had
absolutely
great wars.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. But what's crazy? If you have that sleepover, you can go to the St. Louis County Library and even check out a fort building kit. So you can plan all of these fun activities and you don't have to go out and buy anything because the St. Louis County Library has the Library of Things. And this is a really unique collection of non-traditional library items. And we're talking about musical instruments, GoPro cameras. How much fun would that be to kind of put GoPro cameras on Finn and all of his friends' heads and then have a great video that you could send to the other parents?
Yeah.
That would be a
We're
lot of fun.
We're having a great time.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Absolutely. They've got binoculars, pickleball equipment, all kinds of games, portable projectors. You could do that too. You could put up a kind of a sheet in the backyard, check out one of the portable projectors and then watch movies outside this summer. That'd be fun for the kids. You can explore the collection and maybe even discover your next new thing to borrow at the St. Louis County Library. That's slcl.org.
We, growing up, had the Nerf bow and arrow.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
Have you seen that? Have you seen this thing?
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I wish I had one right now.
I'm sure you could find it on Amazon, right? It is 3:30. Time to get a check of traffic with Captain Paul.
Heidi, an accident on 270 north at Doherty Ferry has traffic jammed back to 44. 270 south is congested from 64 to Manchester. There's a crash on 141 south at Burgundy, just north of Manchester. 64 west is heavy in front of Forest Park and in the Lake St. Louis Boulevard area. 64 east bogs down around 170. 44 west crowded between the King Bridge and 5564. And in Illinois, 64 east is congested between 111 and 157. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let me tell you about family jeweler Lordo's Diamonds that has been a proud sponsor at KTRS for over 20 years. If you need jewelry, whether brand new diamonds, earrings, necklaces, bracelets, maybe something for the gentleman in your life, a nice new watch, or maybe something for the daughter or the son, Lordo's is where you want to go. Right there in Ladue on Clayton Road, a family jeweler, well-respected, well-trusted for generations here in St. Louis. Lordo's or lordosdiamonds.com.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
When you go and get your car washed, do you really care which car wash you go to? Yes, because not all car washes are created equal. Country Club Car Wash is the local family-owned and family-operated car wash since 1989. All these other ones that are popping up, they're all run by out-of-town hedge funds. Keep it local. Keep it great. Touchless car washes, no brushes, inside and out. 5 area locations, Country Club Car Wash or cccwstl.com.
Hey, it's Josh, and I want to tell you about a dentist office, My Dentist Office, and their new location, now open in Lake St. Louis Dentistry. Dr. Landgraf and the group of dentists have been my dentists my entire life. They've been my parents' dentists for their entire lives, and you don't keep generation after generation of clients unless you're really good at what you do. Now with 3 locations, Florissant, Creve Coeur, and the new one, Lake St. Louis Dentistry, half-mile from 4064, and you can get an appointment today. Check out My Dentist, LakeSt.LouisDentistry.com.
Heard a great story about the window store the other day. Larry Thornton, the owner of the window store, 314-739-0002 or WSWindow.net, told me a story. He had a customer call him up and say that he wanted to replace his white vinyl windows with darker windows. And so, of course, Larry took care of him. So now they're all darker and sort of brown in color. It looks beautiful. They're energy efficient. There was no upselling. They're great quality windows, and Larry Thornton and the window store took care of him. That's what he does. The price is extremely reasonable, better than the national companies because there aren't the layers of middle management. The window store has been around for 38 plus years. Proud sponsor here at the Big 550 KTRS. Windows, and don't forget about doors. Doors can get really expensive real fast. That's why you want to go with a company you can trust. Installation, price, selection, quality. The window store. Window store. WSWindow.net. 314-739-0002. WSWindow.net.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
There has been so much talk about data centers and communities pushing back against them that we wanted to know more. So we invited Bryce Gray, energy and environment reporter at the Post-Dispatch, to join us. Thanks for making time for us.
Thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
So data centers are the physical infrastructure, basically because of the internet. Did we need them prior to the internet?
That's a good question. Probably for some computing before the internet. My grasp of history before that point's a little hazy, but, they're certainly becoming more prominent and more important now with new technologies like AI, which, is catapulting them into kind of this new level of size and scale that we didn't even see, a decade ago, for instance, when we had data centers for things like just cloud computing at that point.
Yeah, I know one of the main concerns is rising power bills. Why wouldn't the company behind the data center just cover that difference so that we don't have to worry about it?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's certainly a widely held concern. And there have been attempts, at the state level here in Missouri to make sure that data centers and their developers would shoulder required upgrades to the electric grid when a project is getting added to the equation in the area, for instance. But there still are concerns about how power costs could be affected for ordinary customers, either through, trying to hook up some new power generation or just in terms of how these projects influence demand, since it can really be like adding a whole new city to the grid in the largest, most extreme cases.
Yeah, your article in the Post-Dispatch says that some data centers use up as much energy as 100,000 homes, and there's one in northern Indiana that uses up the equivalent of 1 million homes, which is crazy. But under the headline, do electric bills go up? In your article, it says the short answer is maybe.
Right. And, I wish, of course, there were clearer answers, but, a lot is going to depend on what plays out, what gets built, and, what conditions sort of accompany these plants, how utilities like Ameren might respond again in terms of long-term generation planning, things along those lines. So, as a recurring theme, I suppose, in my reporting has been this lack of clear answers, which in part gets to this lack of transparency that frustrates a lot of people in these communities where they're proposed, where, there are a lot of NDAs and non-disclosure agreements that surround these proposals. So the details have been at times sort of few and far between, and a source of frustration, certainly for people on the ground.
And so when people are pushing back, given communities are pushing back, it's not necessarily unreasonable. I think sometimes the companies try to paint that as unreasonable, or maybe even some politicians who want it, but it doesn't sound like that's the case necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a whole spectrum of stances and reasons for and against these projects. That lack of transparency is one. These cost concerns and water concerns are others. Others are about concerns about transforming the character of often these rural places where they're proposed. And then the other side of the coin, there's, some arguments for the tax revenue that these projects could stand to bring in, and a new form of technology, I guess, that some leaders in the area don't want us to miss out on. And in some cases, the best case scenario argument I've heard is, we need to make these upgrades to our crumbling electric grid in certain ways. And so we could potentially have these deep-pocketed tech companies pay the way toward that if the right sort of policies are in place to force them to do so.
No, we're talking to Bryce Gray, energy and environment reporter at the Post-Dispatch. You mentioned another concern is water. What do we need to know about water, and how does that affect us?
Another great question. So the water footprint or water impact from these plants really depends on the types of cooling systems that they have. You can have some that don't rely on a ton of water, but they might just run the fans more, for instance, and that'll use more power. So it's kind of a trade-off oftentimes there. But it's really going to depend place to place, depending on the type of cooling system designed for a plant, and then the water source in that given location. In some cases, these proposals around the area here are looking to just draw groundwater from the aquifer underground. So it'll really, the broader impacts from water usage can certainly vary case to case. And again, that recurring source of frustration I've heard is that in some of these cases, experts on water who have tried to look into this stuff independently and assess the impact that these plants can have, they've been pretty frustrated by the lack of public details about the water requirements for these plants and don't have a very clear sense of how exactly it could impact the surrounding community.
This question made me be more about background, but with so many desolate places in the United States of America, why don't you build the biggest giant centers there and ship the power and info and all that? Why does it got to be right in the middle of my town? Is there an easy answer to that?
I've wondered about this too, and there are certainly some examples where you do see these popping up in far-flung places, like I know in the middle of Washington State where there's just a lot of hydropower. There are also a lot of these things not super close to major cities, but I was told in Franklin County not too long ago that it's beneficial to have them situated near a large city like St. Louis, for instance, where where there is a lot of demand for these services. So I guess proximity does play a bit of a role. I wish I kind of had the technical expertise to know a little more about that. I'm afraid I don't exactly, but I was told that geography does matter to some extent. So apparently there is more of a benefit to having something near the city in a case like this, as opposed to, the middle of nowhere.
Yes. One of our listeners asked, and I was wondering this too, could you just do solar panels and that could actually power these data centers, or is that not enough?
I think it's mostly kind of the latter. It's you would need a lot of solar panels given the power requirements, but there are some attempts to get these projects, run by clean energy in some cases. There's one example on the old Emerson campus in North St. Louis County that is in the works or, is being pursued. So, the questions about the power source, again, that's one of the top questions and concerns here. And it'll probably look different case to case and project to project. But, if it is going to be powered by solar panels, for instance, you're going to need a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking of if it's the equivalent of 100,000 houses, you're going to need 100,000 house worth of solar panels. When it comes, you're the energy and environment reporter for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. When it comes to the power grid in the United States and even more locally here in Missouri, are we up to date? Do we have a strong enough power grid, or are we behind the eight ball when it just comes to the grid itself?
Well, I think it's safe to say the grid is in need of investment in a lot of places, Missouri included, where, there is a push to improve the way we not only generate energy, but move it around. And, there have been a lot of transmission bottlenecks and stuff where, there's kind of this ongoing crunch at times to find ways to move power from where it's cheap to produce to where it's needed. And, we have kind of a clunky grid that we've sort of inherited, or that grew up, sprouted up largely a century ago in some cases. And, it's a bit of a square peg being fit into, the round hole of the modern ways that we need and require and produce electricity. So we're definitely seeing ways in which it's a clunky fit. And one of the challenges now is to figure out how to rearrange things on the fly and weave things like data centers now into the equation.
We haven't talked much about pollution. How much pollution do data centers give off?
It's another good question, and it will depend in part again on how a certain project is run. A lot of them are going to have, for instance, some diesel generators, backup generators on site for backup power, and I have heard in different communities concerns about those and how often those would be needed. I've also heard some experts say that some of their biggest concerns about potential pollution could be tied more to the power plants or the places that are supplying energy to these projects rather than in the immediate vicinity of the plants themselves, just given how huge their power requirements can be.
So we remember Chernobyl, we remember 3 Mile Island, but those were, almost 40 years ago at this point. Is nuclear a safe option in 2026? And speaking of pollution, is it clean energy?
Well, it's, certainly carbon-free energy, which, holds some appeal to, environmentalists these days and, in a wider swath of society, I'd say. And nuclear, the safety question, I guess, to your point, we haven't quite had one of those high-profile incidents in a long time, fortunately. There are always going to be accompanying risks related to safety, although, of course, there's pretty tight regulation on that sort of thing. There has been, interestingly, a renewed push in Missouri and other places around the U.S. to look more seriously into nuclear power. Just in the last year or two, and I think data centers and rising electricity demand, that's certainly a part of that conversation. But we hadn't built a new nuclear plant in the U.S. for decades until there was a big one in Georgia that opened just in the last year or two. And so they cost a lot of money. We'll see if we can if more projects come through or, really enter the pipeline in earnest, because, they're not cheap and they do have these accompanying safety concerns that, of course, are worth being mindful of.
And in your article, it said Ameren, which is the only game in town, they say that 40% of their energy will come from nuclear power, 30% from gas, 30% from renewables by 2040. And then online, a quick Google search says that the United States is experiencing a nuclear renaissance. So,
yeah. So Ameren, they've dusted off their own nuclear ambitions here, where they run the only power plant, the only nuclear power plant that's in the state currently, Callaway. It's out by Jeff City. But it sounds like they're interested in not only keeping that plant running, but adding some new forms of nuclear generation. And again, we'll see at this point, the questions far outnumber the answers about what that could look like, if that's even a very viable proposal at this point. Again, given the pretty extreme costs of building a new nuclear facility, there is some new technology these days for kind of this emerging frontier of smaller nuclear reactors. I don't know if that will how that will play out, if that will mature enough to really enter Ameren's plans, as opposed to a traditional large plant like the one they currently have. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to watch, though, for sure.
Well, Bryce, we certainly appreciate your reporting on this and sharing what you learned with us. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
You as well. Thank you so much.
Have you guys ever seen the nuclear power plant office? You drive down 70, drive to Mizzou or something.
Yeah.
Drive to William Woods and Fulton. It's real close.
That's
drive
exactly
to William
right.
Woods. I want to say it's mile marker 161. I always try to take a peek every time I'm on the road.
We can kind of, there's a back road that you can go from kind of Fulton to Herman, and you go really close to it. So it's,
really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll tell you something else that is really cool, and it's the way that Window Depot USA of St. Louis does business. Their motto is, we create happy customers. And you can talk to anybody that's worked with Jason and Angie, who, own the company, that is true. They really work with their customers to make sure everybody is happy. And when you have, certain window companies that maybe they only take on those big projects, you're going to redo every window in your house. That's not exactly what Window Depot USA of St. Louis does. They're ready and willing to earn your business, and they will do whatever it takes. No job is too small. No job is too big for Window Depot USA of St. Louis. And the other thing that I really like, when I was talking to Jason and Angie, who, by the way, grew up in St. Peter's, just local family that has done well and continues to kind of give back to our community. They want every customer to be treated like they want their mother to be treated. And I think that's a pretty cool way to do business. So there's a couple of great deals going on right now. We're calling them the Heidi special just because, well, we can. 60% off installation with low payment options, or you can do up to 0% interest for 60 months, depending on if you qualify. You can also enter for a $15,000 and $1 home makeover. You can do that at WindowDepotSTL.com, or you can call them, have them come out and just give you an assessment of your house and what the next step looks like. You can call Window Depot USA of St. Louis at 636-939-4800. It is 8 minutes before 4 o'clock. Let's check back in with Captain Paul.
Heidi, the latest is a crash on 70 West at Cave Springs with the stop and go back up to Zumbel. An accident on 270 North at Doherty Ferry has traffic jammed back to 44. 270 South is busy from Olive down to Manchester. There's a crash on 141 South at Burgundy, just north of Manchester, with traffic backed up to 64. 64 West is heavy between Kings Highway and McCausland, and from 364 to I-70. 64 East bogs down at 170. 44 West is crowded between the King Bridge and 5564. And in Illinois, 64 East is congested between 111 and 157. This traffic report is brought to you by the St. Louis Battlehawks. Battlehawks fans, it's game time. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., St. Louis takes on the Houston Gamblers. It's hats off to heroes, honoring those who serve our country and community. First 10,000 fans score a free Battlehawks hat courtesy of St. Luke's. Don't miss the action. Get your tickets now at UFLBattlehawks.com. United we battle. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, an Iraqi national has been charged with coordinating terror attacks that aim to stop the Iran war. Rich Frankel, former special agent in charge FBI, joins us with what he knows about this. How many reported terrorist attacks do we think that this one national was in charge of?
So I think at this point we have 18 that are listed in the complaint. Wow. But they're still searching. He was fairly prolific in actual attacks and in also planning other attacks.
Oh, that's so scary. And were most of these aimed at Jewish citizens?
U.S. and Jewish citizens. So abroad, it was both U.S. and Jewish. Here in the United States, it seems it's more to the Jewish community. Specifically, I know that he was meeting with a undercover FBI agent to try to blow up a synagogue in New York, as well as do other attacks.
And so you mentioned the undercover agent. Is how they caught him classified, or is there a story that goes with it?
So right now it is still classified. It's still, it will come out most likely if they go to trial, and or if there are other things that happen. But they have not put out too much about the undercover portion of this case, other than to say that he did approach the FBI agent. I believe offered about $3,000 to plan and possibly execute the attack on the synagogue.
Wow. So at this point, we just kind of wait and see what happens with him. Do we know anything else about him?
Yeah, well, he is, as you said, an Iraqi national. He claims that he is related to one of the generals that was killed during the conflict with Israel and the U.S. He is a member of a paramilitary group that is very well connected to Iran, as well as has some connections to the IRGC itself. So it appears that this guy is what we would call a real player. He does have those connections, and he did actually commit terrorist attacks, at least according to the complaint, in Europe, where he stabbed 2 people in London. Police blew up a bomb in Amsterdam at a bank, and did several other small attacks throughout Europe.
Rich, do we think that he worked alone on this, or there are maybe more charges to come?
There are more charges to come. I read that there was one that they're looking for in another report. I think I saw that there might be 2 other individuals that they're looking for overseas. Plus, we could tell that he was trying to work with the undercover here, to attack the synagogue in New York, and he did have other plans throughout the U.S. So I would expect that the investigation is really probably just in its middle phase, because they're trying to see how far-reaching this conspiracy goes, and is it more than just the 2 or 3 people that we've heard of?
So, Rich, you mentioned that he is Iraqi, but he's got a lot of ties to Iran and the Revolutionary Guard there. We had chatted a couple weeks ago, I think, about how we never hear about ISIS or ISIL anymore. Is this an indication that there might be something bubbling under the surface that we just don't know about?
Yeah, you're nailing it right there. And we've talked about that, where, just because we don't hear about it doesn't mean it's not happening. Whether it's ISIS, ISIL, Al-Qaeda, let's not forget Al-Qaeda. They're still around.
Yeah.
Some of the terrorist groups out of Africa, Al-Shabaab, etc. All those groups, none of them have gone away. It's just that they may be under the radar now because they did take a hit at one point, or that they're planning other things, or that they've done small attacks, and it just hasn't resonated to the level of we know it to be ISIS or ISIL or Al Qaeda, etc. As far as I'm concerned, all of these groups that we've always looked at, we still need to look at. We can't let them just go because whenever you let them go, and that's letting them fester, and then they can grow, and then we're facing a large-scale problem in the future.
Yeah, great point. Rich Frankel, thank you so much for your expertise. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Spring is here, and that means you're going to be spending more time outside and enjoying the outdoors. But your deck, you've been thinking about doing something with that deck for years. Don't wait any longer. Go see my friends over there at Outdoor Living, Big Bend and I-44 in Kirkwood. It's right there. It's been there a long time. At Outdoor Living, the showroom has a great style, great designs. You can get all sorts of options. They'll come out to your house. They'll do a site visit, and when you're ready, they'll build you a deck with metal framing, composite decking, and they will put a 50-year warranty on that deck. That's right. You don't have to worry about staining. You don't have to worry about warping or anything else. All you have to worry about is how much fun you're going to have. They've also got pergolas and fences and patio furniture. Yeah, they got patio furniture at Outdoor Living. Check out the showroom, Big Bend and I-44 in Kirkwood. It looks like the old Denny's. You're in the right place. Or online, outdoorlivinginc.com for all of your patio needs and a 50-year warranty on that new deck. OutdoorLivingInc.com.
Hey, Josh here, and I want to tell you about something near and dear to my heart.
Pizza. Dogtown Pizza, of course.
And if you've ever tried one, chances are it's near and dear to you, too. 12 different varieties to choose from for me, the SOB, or the veggie. And chances are, I've got a hot wing pizza in the oven as we speak. So if you want to have a serious conversation about a serious pizza, the only answer is Dogtown. Near and dear to me in every local grocery store in town and at dogtownpizza.com.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
This has been the talk of St. Louis for 30 years. And we aren't stopping now.
We are the Big 550, KTRS St. Louis.
Depend on it.
From ABC News, I'm Mike Tobuski. President Trump is dropping his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS in exchange for the creation of a $1.7 billion fund, which would pay alleged victims of government weaponization. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
The House Judiciary Committee's top Democrat calls the idea a giant affront to the rule of law. In a statement, Jamie Raskin of Maryland says Trump has no authority to conjure up billion-dollar compensation schemes. Sources tell ABC News the $1.7 billion fund would pay out claims to those who say they were unfairly targeted by the Biden administration, including those who were pardoned for rioting at the Capitol on January 6.
President Trump is returning to Washington right now after a summit with President Xi Jinping in China. Those two agreed to a vision of constructive strategic stability. But former U.S. Ambassador to China Nicholas Burns says it just gives China more leverage if the U.S. is seen to be breaking the deal.
This is a trap for the United States. The Chinese have tried this before, which is why previous administrations haven't agreed to it.
Several updates on the hantavirus outbreak. The one American who tested positive for the illness after being exposed aboard that Dutch cruise ship may have never had the disease to begin with experts saying Dr. Stephen Cornfield may have tested false positive. He now says he's deciding whether to stay in quarantine in Omaha, Nebraska, or go home and finish the 42-day quarantine there.
I think everybody in this unit is sort of having that discussion with their own health system and with their family. Some will probably stay here the entire time. Some may ultimately go home.
Meanwhile, the two Americans who were split off from the original group of Americans exposed to the hantavirus kept at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta have now been transferred to that quarantine center in Omaha. And another Harvey Weinstein case has ended in a mistrial after a jury found itself deadlocked over whether Weinstein raped Jessica Mann, an aspiring actress. You're listening to ABC News.
Veterans and active duty service members, when your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. An Elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Bakery owners, you will be loved today. Every pastry will be flaky. Your cake will make a child's day. Your delivery van won't get sideswiped by a distracted garbage truck driver. But if so, breathe easy, knowing you'll get back to business quickly with Progressive protecting your commercial auto. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
At least 10 people have been injured in Maine following a massive fire at a lumber mill there. Fire authorities say it's tied to a possible explosion at that facility in Searsmont and are investigating. High temperatures and dry conditions are fueling multiple wildfires across the country. ABC News meteorologist Kenton Jawicki has details.
We are watching these numerous fires that have really exploded this week, especially the dozens that have gone from places like Minnesota all the way down to New Mexico and the Texas Panhandle. Some of them have gone 10,000, 20,000 acres in a very short amount of time. So the vegetation is very dry across these corridors here of the Great Plains from the north to the south. And we're also looking at that wind, that dry wind that's going to drive any fire that's able to spark, and the fire weather conditions continue today in a lot of those same areas.
Some parents in Pennsylvania are pushing back against technology in schools.
Parents across the country worried about too much screen time in schools are lobbying educators to go back to pencils and paper. Hundreds have signed a petition in Pennsylvania's Lower Merion Township School District near Philadelphia to allow parents to opt out of digital devices for their kids. School board members say it's not feasible to opt out of technology they say is essential to the curriculum.
ABC's Chuck Severson. Expected to get underway next week, jury deliberations in that high-profile lawsuit Elon Musk lodged against Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI. I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. A woman is in custody after a crash involving a Bethalto police officer early this morning. The crash happened around 1 a.m. on the Bethalto Expressway. The injured officer was taken to the hospital and later released. The crash is the third this week involving an officer in the St. Louis area. On Tuesday, an officer in St. Anne was injured in a crash while responding to an emergency. A St. Louis police officer was also injured Thursday when a driver ran a stop sign near Cole and Jefferson. A North County man accused of killing his father now faces charges. 29-year-old Malik Touchette has been charged on multiple counts, including second-degree murder in the death of 64-year-old Paul Touchette Wednesday night. Police say Touchette attacked his father, then tried to set the family's home on Old Halls Ferry on fire. He's being held on a $500,000 bond. A Fox middle school teacher is accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a student. 42-year-old Zachary Leonard is charged on multiple counts, including enticement of a child and third-degree child molestation. According to a probable cause statement, Leonard sent hundreds of text messages to a student between April 4th and May 6th. These messages were sexually explicit in nature and contained requests asking to perform sex acts on each other. Leonard remains jailed at the Arnold Police Station without bond. St. Louis City leaders unveiled a $230 million RAM settlement investment plan. Under the plan, the largest single investment would go toward the recovery and redevelopment of North St. Louis. The proposal sets aside $110 million for North City rebuilding efforts, with much of that funding earmarked for home repairs and new housing development. An additional $31 million is proposed for small business support and neighborhood beautification projects. The Illinois House has adopted a resolution that urges the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, in conjunction with the Illinois Department of Agriculture, to increase conservation efforts and delay the seasonal cutting of milkweed and other pollinator enhancement plants along Illinois waterways until August. State Representative Charlie Meyer sponsored the resolution.
Pollinator species on the decline globally due to loss of habitat, general weather trends, altering plant life cycles. Illinois is home to many pollinator species, including butterflies, bumblebees, beetles, birds that feed upon the sweet nectar produced by these various flowering plants.
Meyer said the conservation of Illinois' pollinator population is of the utmost importance due to their link to the health and success of the Illinois agriculture and food chain. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. The number of initial unemployment claims in Missouri has dropped. The Missouri Department of Labor reports there were just over 2,100 initial claims filed during the week ending on May 9th. That marks a decrease of 43 claims from the previous week. And now this look at the markets is brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement, Saturday mornings 9 to 11. Wall Street pulls back after record highs earlier this week. Dow Jones dropped 537 points to close at 49,526. NASDAQ fell 410 to finish at 26,225. And the S&P 500 fell 92 points to close at 7,408. Now let's check sports and traffic with Captain Paul Kopsky.
Sobe, the Cardinals and Royals renew the I-70 series tonight at Busch Stadium. The Birds return home after a winning road trip to San Diego and Sacramento. And Illinois basketball has locked up head coach Brad Underwood on a contract extension that takes him through 2032. Underwood this past season took his Illini to the Final Four, the program's first since 2005. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. A crash on 70 West at Cave Springs is causing a stop-and-go back up past Zumbel. An accident on 270 North at Doherty Ferry is blocking the right lane, but not really affecting traffic. 270 South is busy from Olive down to Manchester. 270 West congested from Illinois Route 3 to the Chain of Rocks Bridge. A crash on 141 South at Burgundy has been cleared with residual congestion back to Clayton Road. 64 West is heavy between Kings Highway and McCausland, and from 364 to I-70. 64 East bogs down at 170. 44 West crowded between North Broadway and 5564. And in Illinois, 64 East is congested between 111 and 157. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, Captain Paul. KTRS weather tonight, cloudy, overnight low of 67. Scattered thunderstorms tomorrow morning to midday, high of 84. And then Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 90. Currently 81 degrees. The time is 4:10. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Galmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Galmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314-993-1110.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Our headlines for this Friday afternoon, May 15th. Fairmount Park adds live table games in $3 million expansion, bringing 35 jobs to the Metro East Racino. With the launch of its 2026 season, the Collinsville facility introduced traditional table games, including blackjack, poker, mini baccarat, and roulette. The additions build on the 2025 debut of the Racetrack's Casino, which initially featured only electronic table games and slot machines. The general manager said live table games were a key goal as the property works to broaden its appeal as a regional entertainment destination. Fairmont intends to capitalize on being Illinois' only Racino, which is, of course, a combination of horse track and casino. We're the only place for many people within a 5 to 6 hour radius to come watch horse races and play games in a casino. Now that we've added live games like blackjack and poker tables, it truly feels like a premium casino experience. And like I said, it brought 35 new jobs to the Metro East Horse Track.
That's really interesting.
I thought so too.
I tell you, I've gone over to the Alton Bell or whatever it's called now, and they'll have like maybe 6 tables. And then the rest of the thing is slot machines. So I guess they know where their money comes from.
Oh, they know every penny.
Yeah, they do.
But it'd be kind of cool to go over and bet on some horses and go upstairs.
Have fun. I know.
Play a couple. And by the way, when you kept saying Racino, I didn't get it at first. I thought you were talking about that that reporter that had that affair with Mike Vrabel.
No.
What was it? Diana Racino, right?
Maybe she's an investor. Heidi, what are you going to be taking with you on your hikes in the national parks?
Bear spray.
Thank you. Popular National Park closes trails after several aggressive bear encounters, but not your parks.
Okay.
The Great Smoky Mountains National Park has closed several trails. It's home to some 1,900 black bears.
Really?
Yeah, but recently they've had, recently is May 14th, so yesterday, they closed because of these encounters. At Abrams Falls Trail, if anybody's heading east, black bear bit a visitor who entered a closed area.
See, why do people do that?
Pay attention. Keep the windows up on your car.
Yes.
Don't feed the bears. Don't go into areas that are closed. They're closed for a reason.
Yep.
Well, I pay my taxes. Stop it. You're also going to pay your doctor bills.
That's right.
So those trails are closed, but that's not going to happen on your trip.
No, it is not.
I promise it won't happen. But just in case,
take the bear spray.
All right. I've got a good news story about litter. Litter across America has declined 34%.
I love hearing that because I hate when I see litter.
Great news.
Since 2020, in just the 5 to 6 years. A new report from Charity Keep America Beautiful. The report reckons that Americans' share of litter has dropped from 152 pieces to 96. Decades ago, this woman, Jerry Weiss Corbley, set up neighborhood cleanups every year when she was raising her kids. And she said, you know how I know that litter is down? We don't have any cleanups anymore.
Wow.
Because apparently
nothing to do.
They don't need them. That's great news. It's the most extensive research conducted in U.S. history to estimate the scope, scale, and causes and impacts of litter. Roadway litter declined 22%. Waterway litter fell 45%. And they say that education, enforcement, better infrastructure to waste systems, trash cans, and increased engagement from businesses has given us less litter. I tell you, I don't understand. I've seen it. I've seen people throw bags of fast food out the window.
I'm going to tell you, around the park in Lafayette Square, I thought Marsha was going to get killed one day because a guy kind of tossed a bottle and she went after him. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well,
people are so brazen sometimes.
I share the sentiment. Didn't you grow up the same way that we did?
No.
That litter is bad? And you're not supposed to do. Who just
do this in your house?
Who throws a whole bag of garbage out the window?
But let's remember, you have to be taught not to just toss it down. So I mean,
Good point.
Not everybody is.
I guess cardboard litter is up 50%. These are the kinds of litters that
Which
we
is
do
too
have.
bad because that's one of the very few things you can actually recycle.
Yes.
And e-cigarette litter has spiked along vaping trends.
Get me started.
Listen to this. I think this is great. Plastic Mardi Gras beads always end up in landfills, so a lot of Mardi Gras parties are swapping out seed beads.
I was just going to say, what's the candy you would get as a kid? It's sort of like on a necklace.
Oh, yeah.
Almost
candy
like
necklace.
Sweet Tarts or whatever. Do that instead.
Yes.
It'd be great.
I mean, I've got a Mardi Gras bead somewhere in the house. It keeps turning up. I think Finn plays with it. But
Necklace, you mean?
Necklace,
Okay.
yes. But I had, hundreds of them. So 99%.
You raise your shirt that many times?
It was a pretty wild night, Bob.
Oh, boy.
So 99% of those are in a landfill now, and the other
rest are at
one
your house.
is just sitting in Finn's train table.
Are we going to ask Brendan Weesey about the Preakness?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I've got my horse. so
Okay.
I just wanted to be sure.
Okay, I'm excited about that. I'll tell you, if you're looking for a fun weekend getaway, Springfield, Illinois has so much going on. And of course, 2026 is going to be bigger and better than ever because it's the 100th anniversary of Route 66. And there's so many things to see. They've got the Bob Waldmeyer art exhibit, and he's an American artist who, his work really revolved around Route 66, and you can see some of his pieces. There's a photo exhibit from David Schwartz, The Road That Takes You, and you can see some great images of some of the iconic stops along Route 66. But don't forget, this is also Lincoln's home state, and that's where the Lincoln Presidential Museum and Library are. You could spend a weekend there alone just seeing all the artifacts and taking a step back in time. But it is more than that when it talks about Springfield, Illinois. You've got the Horseshoe Trail, and the Horseshoe is that sandwich that is basically French fries and this sauce and
I want some
goodness.
now.
I do want some.
Yeah,
I love French fries on a sandwich.
Yes. They also have all kinds of breweries. They've got great little coffee shops, but it is just a great town with beautiful gardens, and you've got the lake, and I highly recommend just going to visit Springfield, Illinois. They even have itineraries made for you, and so if it is all about the Horseshoe Trail, they'll tell you about all of the stops, or maybe it's all about Lincoln, and you can check out the blog that tells you the 5 stops you have to make to, appreciate Lincoln. Again, you can find those itineraries and just see a list of all the other things to do, where to stay, where to eat, all the different events at visitspringfieldillinois.com. Coming up, Mike Ward joins us to talk about Italian wines.
Julie Buck here with Jeff Zufall, the senior tax strategist and wealth advisor at Capital Advisory Group and author of the #1 best-selling book on taxes, Keep What's Yours, and Keeping What's Yours. He also wrote that book. Now, Jeff, now that the tax deadline has passed, What's happening in the month of May?
May is National Small Business Month. At Capital Advisory Group, we are celebrating our 50th year serving the American entrepreneur and the small businesses that make our community better every day. Since 1976, our company has helped thousands of small businesses grow and thrive by minimizing the financial risk to their businesses, reducing their tax liability, and growing their wealth using tax-smart investing strategy. If you're relying on investment advice from someone who isn't familiar with the tax strategy and feel like you might be paying more than your fair share in taxes, ensure that you're taking advantage of tax laws designed to help small businesses like yours succeed.
Give Capital Advisory Group a call at 636-394-5524 or online at capitaladvisorygrp.com.
Before you put your home on the market, before you have to pay money fixing it up to sell it, before you have to pay real estate commissions, call me. I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I will buy your home. Any property, any condition, anywhere, and always as is. Call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. You have nothing to lose when you call Robank Properties at 314-283-0867.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
It is once again time to talk wine with Ward on Wine, a.k.a. Mike Ward. And today we're featuring some of the greatest Italian wines. It's so great to see you.
Great to see you. I love talking about wines of Italy, my favorite class to teach and my favorite wines to talk about.
So how long have Italians been making wine?
As long as there's been Italians. So,
it goes back that far.
It really goes back far, as far as you can go. Started by the Greeks, and then kind of helped them, teach the Etruscans, this is pre-Roman times, how to grow grapes, how to make wine. And it just happens to be a perfect place in the Mediterranean for grape growing, still is, and winemaking. So really, it's ancient history.
And you recently got your certification in Italian wines. Remind people how long you had to study for that.
It's a 2-year program, 2 100-question multiple choice exams, hardest 2 tests I've ever taken.
Really?
And just achieved it last July.
I was going to say we were approaching a year. What is it that you love about Italian wines? What makes them different or more exceptional?
And I also think it's the difficulty level, 650 unique indigenous grape varieties. And then as you look around the country, whether it's, Venice in the north or Sicily in the south and everything in between, as you travel through the country, you are going to different regions that will have different unique grape varieties and styles of wine. So, there's no consistency to it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. It's very interesting.
Different than other wine countries?
Couldn't be more different.
Okay.
So when you go to France, you go to Champagne or Burgundy and Bordeaux, and they have different grape varieties, but they're grapes we know, Cabernet, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay. But in Italy, everything is different.
And is it because it's a long country? Further south you go, it gets warmer, different topographies from big mountains to plains. Is it because it's so diverse?
It is. Partly because of that. It's also because of they're a fractured country with a different heritage.
Oh, gotcha.
They haven't been a unique, country all to themselves it was just in the 1840s. So that's different. The families that make wine there, the traditions are different. You have people who are in the extreme northwest that speak French and Italian. People in the extreme northeast speak German and Italian, and then the Sicilians speak a different form of Italian. Wow. So it makes it difficult, and that's why it was a tough exam. Somehow I pulled myself through it. Somehow. I don't know how.
It is so crazy. So I always think of Italy and red wines, but you have a couple of whites here.
I do. Orvieto, I thought I would bring that. Have you ever had an Orvieto?
No.
Never heard of it.
Orvieto is the place, not the grape variety. The place where the wine comes from in Umbria, and it's this unique little city that sits on top of a hill, and the wines all around it, and it's a blend of indigenous Italian grape varieties.
And is it similar to a Chardonnay or a Sauvignon Blanc or a Pinot Grigio?
Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio, similar, yes. The main grape is Trebbiano,
Okay.
with another grape variety that they use, which wouldn't mean anything to anybody listening. But that's going to be in that Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon Blanc type of wine, but it's not those grapes.
Okay.
So not oaked like a Chardonnay would be.
So you come in here and you tell us about French wines and Italian wines today, and a lot of the times they're named after the places where they're grown.
Yeah.
That doesn't tell me anything about what's on the bottle, though. You know, I'm an American. I need to know what the grape is: Cabernet, Sauvignon, or Pinot Grigio, or Sauvignon Blanc. That's the grape. Zinfandel. These are the grapes. I know what that tastes like.
Right.
But since all the wines are named after the towns and everything, could I go into a wine store and say, give me an Italian wine that tastes like a Zinfandel?
Yes, and it would be called Primitivo because it's the same exact grape variety that's grown in Italy.
They just call it something
they
else.
Have a
That's
different
the
name
only
for
one
it.
that I know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it's from Croatia, so
It's not even in.
Yeah.
It's not even from Italy.
It's not from Italy. Neither is
Oh, it's just
Pinot
over the
Grigio
Aegean.
is a French grape. It's not from Italy.
And that's why we have you here every Friday. I don't know that we've mentioned that we're really talking about Ruffino Winery. And before we came on the air, you teased us a bit with some connection to the
To
World's
St. Louis.
Fair.
Yeah, to the St. Louis World's Fair.
Come on.
So, quick story, and I think this is one of the best stories that's ever happened to me visiting a winery. It was back in 2016 when I went to Ruffino, and they made us stay in one of their castles. You know, that was
how
awful.
awful.
But they brought us to their
Drafty, those castles are.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It was not like a Game of Thrones style castle. It was like a newly updated
Okay.
castle.
Like a Four Seasons castle.
Yes, yeah. But they brought us to their winery, and one of the things we're walking through, we're tasting their wines, and they have this big plaque with all the medals that they've ever won in their history. Now, this is a 200-year-old winery, right? So I go up to look at it. We're all kind of looking at it, and I see right in the middle the largest medal is a gold medal that they won at the 1904 World's Fair.
That
here
is
in St. Louis.
crazy.
And I was freaking out about it and taking pictures, and our guide was like, I don't, what do you know, and kind of told
What's
him
the big
about
deal?
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the big deal? They didn't take us over there for that reason. But to think that, you know, there was a wine competition at the 1904 World's Fair. Did you know that?
I didn't, and I'm going to tell you, this
I
is
was
reason
there. I was a
enough.
judge.
Oh, yeah, you're not that old. But this is reason enough to grab a bottle of Ruffino and try it.
Yeah, Ruffino Chianti Reserva Ducale, it's called, was there at that World's Fair.
That's the wine that won it?
Yeah, the wine that I brought today with a yellow label, easy to find in any store. I got that's at Schnucks for $22. You can have it over the weekend.
Okay, and what is it similar to?
Well, Chianti is made with a grape called Sangiovese, and Sangiovese, I would describe it as being kind of high in acid and also some really nice red, spicy flavors.
Oh.
We were just
I
discussing,
like that.
yeah, off the air about tomatoes. It goes well with tomato sauce.
Yes.
Because of the matching acidity. So anything you're having, meat-wise, steaks, or tomato, anything
Or
tomato
pasta
sauce.
with a tomato sauce base.
Chianti is your wine. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So this is where wine and knowing about wines gets even more complicated. Chianti, I don't care for. It's too dry. Chianti.
Okay.
Chianti.
Yeah,
Classico, however, I really like. And there is a difference. The Chianti that we're probably used to is what's that rope thing around the bottle at the Italian
basket.
The
They
basket.
call it.
Yeah.
It's called a fiasco.
The
is what they
fiasco.
call it. Yeah.
Perfect for Josh.
Yes.
That Chianti stuff that we've had all of our lives at Italian restaurants is not the same as Chianti Classico.
Well, Chianti Classico is a place in between Florence and Siena. It's the original zone of production dating back to the 1100s when they started making Chianti there. And they've expanded that place, and then they kept the Classico zone. And that, you know, the Italians do that in several different regions. If you have a historic place where the wine started, but then they have to expand it because the popularity is growing. They'll keep that historic place as the classic zone for production.
So how is Chianti and Chianti Classico different?
Well, it's a little harder to make a Chianti Classico because the rules and laws are a little more strict for those, people making it within that region. I also brought this wine called Ruffino Modus. And what's different about the Chianti Classico and the Ruffino Modus is that it has an amount of Merlot added to it that is higher than what is allowed. And so therefore it has to be declassified to a more generic wine. And it has more Merlot in it. It's called a Super Tuscan wine.
Oh, okay.
The grapes are grown in Chianti Classico, but because it doesn't qualify as a Chianti Classico, it has a different designation.
It has a different name.
Is it technically a blend?
It is.
Like we might be used to from California or whatever.
Yeah, right. It's a Super Tuscan blend, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, Modus Toscano.
Yeah.
This, going back to the Chianti Classico by Ruffino, it won a gold medal at the 1904 World's Fair. That was 120 years ago. Is this wine in this bottle in my hand going to taste the exact same as the wine that it did in 1904?
100% no.
Oh!
It will not.
What
taste
happened?
like that. So over time, the good thing about it is that they have changed the recipe. When I say recipe, the blend a little bit. Plus, technology has changed a little bit. And so the wines that they're making in Chianti now are far, far better. Better quality. That wine would have been a little bit sweet, and it also would have had a little white wine added to it. So it would have been a little lighter and fruitier a little bit, but not probably in a great way. It was probably a good wine.
Have you ever done any research to see what wineries they beat out?
No, but I'm going to for next time.
Okay.
I'm going to do a whole research. That was just the beginning, or it's kind of like the end of the Missouri wine prominence in the world because Prohibition ruined the Missouri wine industry. So I bet you there were some, Stonehill and Mount Pleasant wines in that competition as well. I'm just thinking I'll do a little research and find out.
That is so cool. Okay, so we've talked about Chianti Classico. What is the Reserva
Ducale?
Yeah.
And the Italians always pronounce the E on the end of their words.
Okay.
So we don't have a silent E on the end. So if you ever see that on the end of an Italian word, that's how you say it. We don't say it that way, but it just puts it into a higher category. So Reserva has meaning in Italy. It means that it has to be aged an additional 2 years in oak barrels in order to get that
Reserva.
That classification.
And why is it Reserva instead of Reserve?
Well, it's Italian.
Okay, that's the only reason.
After I studied for and passed my exam, I know all these Italian words. I can't speak Italian. If somebody was speaking it to me, I wouldn't be able to understand them, but I know hundreds of words in Italian.
And so did I read that this was in honor of a duke?
Yeah, so we kind of go back to the nobles who were, remember, this wasn't Italy back then yet. It was all these fractured different kingdoms and communities. The Etruscans, were original, and then after the Roman Empire failed, there were different parts of Europe that came in and ran different parts of the country. So this was a duke in Florence. Florence was one of the major cities who had control over many of the vineyards, and this wine was kind of made in his honor.
We haven't talked about it. Does Ruffino mean anything? Is it named after a person? Where does the name come from?
It is. It does have context to the original family name.
Okay.
Now it's a different company that owns it, but it goes back to the original owner's name.
If somebody is listening and they want to try an Italian wine and they've never had it before, what do you suggest? How do they enter in slowly?
Well, always have it with food.
Okay.
Now, I brought the Ruffino Prosecco. That doesn't need food. That's from northeastern Italy.
And that's the sparkling.
That's the sparkling. We talked about that. We've talked about that before. They can drink Pinot Grigio, no problem. You can have that tonight out at, sitting out on the deck. But if you're going to have one of the red wines from Italy, please have food with it. And I mean, you could just you have some cheese and crackers.
Do they enhance each other, the food and the wine?
They do.
Brings them both together?
Because winemakers in Italy make their wine as part of the meal. So it's not considered a cocktail in Italy. It's always part of the meal. Lunch and dinner, and if it's me, it's breakfast too. But they want you to have a glass with food. So if you're thinking, I just want to try this Chianti, we just talked about it. I've never had one before. Please make some food with it, or otherwise you're not going to like it.
Okay, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah,
it's made for eating with.
Yeah, you can open up a bottle of Napa Valley blend or Cabernet, and I think those need food too, but you can have that by itself. But with an Italian wine, because the acidity is usually high, with any of the reds, I want you to have it with food.
Are these easy to find? Are Ruffino wines everywhere wines are sold?
Every chain store, every independent retailer, you can find everything we're talking about today. That's one of the reasons I was excited to do them today, because you can have them this weekend. And whatever you're listening, you're driving home, there's a Schnucks, Dierberg's, Total Wine, or whatever near you. Randall's. You can go in and get these wines this weekend.
Oh, you're speaking my language. And, of course, if they have a question while they're in the middle of the aisle, they can always email you at
mike@wardonwine.com. Love the questions, especially about Italian wines. Somebody recently said, what's your favorite wine? And I never answer that question.
You don't?
I always say, my favorite class to teach is wines of Italy, and those are among my favorite wines. So, and they're also the most confusing. So send me an email, and we'll work through it.
All right. And, of course, if you want to join us for more wine talk, you can always join us on Uncorked with Ward on Wine and yours truly, Heidi Glaus. It airs here on the Big 550 every Sunday at 6 p.m. Mike Ward, cheers to you.
Cheers, everybody.
It is 4:35. Let's get another check of traffic on this Friday from Captain Paul.
Heidi, a crash on 70 West at Cave Springs has traffic jammed back to 94. There's a crash on 270 South at 70. 70 East is jammed from Wright City to Route Z in Wentzville. 70 West heavy from Lake St. Louis Boulevard to Wentzville Parkway. 270 South is busy from Olive down to Manchester. 64 West is heavy between Kings Highway and Clayton Skinker, and from 364 to I-70. 64 East bogs down from 170 to Big Bend. 44 West is crowded between Tucker and 5564. And in Illinois, 64 East is congested between 111 and 157. This traffic report is brought to you by Neighbors Credit Union. If you're ready to upsize, downsize, or first-time home buy, turn to the team at Neighbors Credit Union. At Neighbors Credit Union, you'll find great rates, expert advice, and personalized friendly service throughout the entire home loan process and beyond. That's just what you'd expect from a great neighbor. Apply online today at neighborscu.org. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
I was running errands earlier today and got a closer look at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital's, the new hospital, and it is going to be amazing. I mean, it's going to have the latest and greatest, and I mean, they've always, since the very beginning, they knew what they were doing with kids, and they knew how to heal kids. But this place is just going to be stunning. You know, from the very beginning, the people in charge at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital knew that they were never going to turn a child away. It didn't matter if mom and dad couldn't afford it or if they didn't have insurance. Kids were going to get what they needed when they came to Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, and that's still the case today. But they had to start the Cardinal Glennon Children's Foundation so that that could actually happen. That's also where, you know, donor support allows them to invest in the future of Cardinal Glennon, and we're talking about all kinds of program enhancements, the facility updates, charity care, and so much more. The state-of-the-art equipment that you won't find in other hospitals. So if you're looking to make a donation this this year. If you truly want to make a difference, not only there at the hospital, but in so many families' lives, you can do that at glennon.org. It's also where you can read about some of the great success stories and the kids who have overcome so much, or maybe a nurse or doctor who has done something extraordinary. Again, that's glennon.org.
And you said you were driving around running errands. Speaking of running errands, someone texted us and said, hey, why are all the flags today at half-staff or half-mast? I looked it up. It's in honor of Peace Officers Memorial Day, which honors law enforcement officers who are injured or killed in the line of duty. And this falls in line with May 10th through the 16th. It's National Police Week.
All right. That's good to know. Honor all of them. You know, earlier we were talking about boomeranging back, and Josh, you said your parents would love to have you back.
They're dying to have me back in the house.
Somebody from the 618 said, my father dropped me off at college, gave me a grand, and took my house key. And I have to say, I cackled a little bit when I read it. And then we were also talking about how kids... Some parents don't allow kids to have sleepovers. And somebody said, has society changed, or has our awareness of the hazards of letting your child changed? Grew up in the 70s. And I think it's a little bit of both.
I do. I agree with you, Heidi. I think the hazards perhaps have are more prevalent.
Yes.
But I think our awareness of those hazards has really come into focus, and it's kind of dovetailed to where we are today.
I think so, too.
I would add to that the over-awareness of the hazards might have led us to be overly cautious when it comes to things like this.
There are bad things that can happen, and so people, and I think rightfully so, are going to be overprotective of their children.
Yeah, and... You know, my sister, the psychologist, always says accidents are preventable. And so if you don't put yourself or a child in a certain situation, you know, maybe they're safer.
Great story about Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. One of the wives called up and said, hey, we need an electrician. Call Michael Baldy. And the husband said, no, I can do it. Well, the wife overrode the husband, called up Michael Baldy at 314-968-9999. Maybe she checked the website first, baldyelectric.com. So Michael Baldy came out to the house. While he was at the house, the husband says, well, since you're here, I've got 3 or 4 other jobs for you. It turned out to be an all-day affair. They took care of everything. And so, no, the husband couldn't get it done. Good thing the wife called Baldy Electric, and now the whole house is fixed because of one simple phone call to Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. Indoor, outdoor, brand new commercial building, an old Victorian home, it doesn't matter. Michael Baldy and his team of electricians will take care of you. 314-968-9999, Baldy Electric, or baldyelectric.com.
It's Sarah Haynes from The View. Today, stronger immunity and better nutrition are more important than ever. That's why Eggland's Best gives you and your family more. Compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best provides 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, all helping you to maintain a strong immune system and better overall health. Plus, you get all that farm-fresh, delicious taste. These are no ordinary times, so why choose an ordinary egg? Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
KTRS Sports Director Brendan Weesey is back to talk sports, and I guess the biggest news, Mizzou versus SLU.
Well, we hope, right? So sources tell me that we're not in the contract is final stage yet of this scenario, but certainly all signs point to our great Frank Cusimano's reporting on it this morning and last night, that everything looks to be a go, and the fact that it happened quickly is it's really pretty remarkable, because this series has laid dormant. Rammer, are we talking about 25 years?
25 years.
Wow.
And it was a series. Mizzou, it was a 3-game series. Mizzou won 2 of the games, but SLU won the first one.
3 great games.
Yeah.
3 great games. In 99, SLU wins 75-72 at the Dome. Then at Hearn Center, Mizzou wins 77-73. And then a buzzer beater at what's now the Enterprise Center. Mizzou wins with a buzzer beater 69-67. 3 fantastic basketball games.
And that was the buzzer beater by one Wesley Stokes.
Who wasn't a shooter.
He wasn't. Everybody remember Wesley Stokes for the hair.
Yeah.
He wasn't a very good shooter. And so was eventually became the starting point guard, if you will, but didn't have much of a shot. And it wasn't a three-point shot. It was a long two, if I remember correctly. And
it was right in front of me. I can still see it like it was
Really? Why did we stop playing each other?
Well, the contract ran out.
Got it.
And then different coaches, different ADs, and things changed, and it just didn't work for 25 years. And this is not to cast any aspersion about administrative people, but it took 2 really regular good guy coaches talking to each other.
And saying, hey, let's do this.
Right. And apparently, according to Frank's reporting, Dennis Gates initiated the conversation. I give him tons of credit on a number of levels, not just the rivalry level, but in a time in our sport when mid-majors can't get Power 5 teams to play them, for the Power 5 team to reach out, I just give Coach Gates tons and tons of credit.
I can't wait to talk to him about it because there's a few things at work here. One, did his approach or philosophy on scheduling non-conference games just change, or is it a matter of knowing the team he is about to have this upcoming year? And we've talked a lot about it on our show, that you've got the number one of the top freshmen in the country, maybe the number one freshman in Jason Crow Jr. You've got a fantastic roster. And from Mizzou's perspective, you want to be able to show that off. You don't want to play against teams ranked in the 300s for 3 or 4 weeks to start the season. And then you ramp it up when you play Kansas and Illinois in December. And it feels like you're behind the 8 ball a little bit. The fact that this, I love it on every level, but the fact that by all accounts this will be not necessarily opening day, although maybe that Friday is the first game for these two teams, it will be opening week at the very least. So what better way to start the college basketball season than playing your neighbor and playing two teams that are going to have sky-high expectations? There's a chance that not only is this a very attractive game for Mizzou and SLU fans, but there's a chance this game is against 2 top 20 teams.
Yeah, how
to start the
crazy.
season. That's not impossible.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. The 2 early preseasons have them both in the top 25. I think, don't hold me to this, Mizzou 20 and SLU 23 or 4, something like that, which is great.
No
awesome.
question about it. No
All right,
question.
switching sports, do we have any updates on Mizzou's running back?
So Ahmad Hardy, there's no update on his playing status. Now, we did hear word this afternoon that another potential suspect has been arrested in the state of Kentucky. Now, there were 3 individuals taken into custody earlier in the week, and they were released a short time later, and no charges were filed. And by all accounts, an Mizzou insider, Eli Hoff, is on this story right now, and at last check, there were no charges with this individual arrested. But that's like the first order of business. The next order of business is, what does it mean for Mizzou football? And obviously we didn't want to talk about it. Monday was so fresh. This was more about the young man and was he going to be okay? And by all accounts, he is going to make a full recovery. But that doesn't mean the full recovery happens in time for him to play come August or at all in the fall, right? I mean, he's got a lot of decisions to make. There certainly would be, if he decides to not play, there would be a medical red shirt available if you're worried about missing any time and not getting your the full bang for your buck, so to speak.
Do we know anything about the injury? Is it in his thigh? Is it in his hamstring? Is it in his calf?
We just know upper leg. We don't know which leg.
And that's why we can't. It's impossible for us to give real legitimate speculation.
There's no
we can't.
speculation in terms of all we know is that we think we're several weeks away from getting a decision. Well, from getting a a prognosis from the doctors and then a decision by Ahmad Hardy. Because, again, it may come down to if he's not available by October, does he just say, let's punt this season and run it back the next year? He'll have the ability to do that. There's a lot on the table here. It's just it's a shame any way you cut it, because we're talking about a young man that was going to be a preseason Heisman Trophy candidate. Now, that could still happen, but clearly now it's not your normal protocol of just getting ready for a normal college football season. On top of that, now you're recovering from a gunshot wound. I don't know. And certainly the mental aspect of that, the trauma that he went through here earlier this week, and then again the physical side of it of getting your lower body ready for for all of the trials and tribulations that come with a normal college football season.
It's so true. Cardinals squeaked by with a win yesterday.
Fun game. Take 2 of 3 from the A's, and they just continue to find a way to win. Jordan Walker with 2 just huge hits, and it just we talked last night about J.J. Weatherholt. Walker deserves his own long breakdown, because it's starting to look like now, and he's had a good slump already this year and has responded to it and has bounced back from it. Now there's going to be more. You don't want to see the long 0 for 30 type of slumps that it seemed like he'd go through from time to time in his earlier Cardinal tenure. But he does look like a new guy, a new hitter, and it's taken him some time to get there. But at this point, we're talking about, if we extrapolate the data out for multiple months, we're talking about an MVP candidate with what he's done so far.
Kind of crazy. And then, do they have Kansas City?
Yep.
They do tonight. Yep, Royals in town. I know may as well mention this for folks that have decided against getting the Cardinals package, whether you have cable satellite or whether you decided against ordering the standalone streaming package. It's being offered this weekend for free. So if you wanted to watch the Cardinals, if you don't have tickets to the game, you can watch it for free. If you go to Cardinals TV and see what they're all about. So as a public service, I thought that was good to mention for folks.
If there's an app on the TV, on the smart TVs, on the Rokus and the Fires and the whatever. So I'm going to have to.
Yes, I believe that.
I was going to
simple
say,
answer is yes.
I'm going to have to look into this, because this might be an opportunity to see what it's all about.
I feel like there have already been more games on live TV, the free version, than there were last year. I actually know some of the players now.
I've seen a lot of baseball.
Exactly, isn't that?
Yeah.
And I think they've done a pretty remarkable job of winning a lot of people back. And it doesn't mean they've got to make the playoffs to continue that momentum, but I think they've got people hooked now. And it's when they decided on this complete, let's strip this down, let's rebuild it from the ground up, I don't think they could have hoped for this kind of start, because it's not through smoke and mirrors. This is right now a good ball club. Now they've got a lot of work ahead of them. They've caught a lot of breaks. We've talked about the fact, Rammer, last night, that they've stayed healthy. And they've not had to deal with a lot of injuries.
Knock on wood.
Yes, exactly. There's plenty of setbacks that will come along the way, and how they respond to it will be fascinating to watch.
All right, so I'll ask you about trade deadline stuff when that gets closer.
Yes, we're a ways away from that.
When that gets closer.
We're a ways away from that.
It's not even Flag Day yet. But the Cubs are the Cardinals-Royals rivalry. Did we used to play them every year, even with interleague play?
The Royals?
But now it seemed like we've been playing them a lot.
Yeah.
But now, isn't the new schedule, we play everybody at least once a year?
We do, yes.
Do you think a Cardinals-Royals rivalry will become more heated?
The thing about Cardinals-Royals is that it definitely, I think, means more to Royals fans than it does to Cardinals fans, at least historically.
Because the Royals stink.
Well, they have. They've been better in recent years. So I think it means more to Kansas City than it does St. Louis. But it's a fun series. And I don't know if it needs to get heated. Like Cardinals-Cubs isn't always heated, but it's always fun.
Always.
Right.
And the fact that unlike a lot of the other series where it's not necessarily a home and home, Cardinals and Royals, Rammer, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe is still home and home. They will play the Cardinals, they play the Royals here, and they'll play them in Kansas City later in the year.
Yeah. The Preakness is tomorrow, but without the Kentucky Derby winner, which is becoming a trend.
It is a trend, and it's not. Again, we talked about it before, Heidi. It's not great for the Triple Crown brand.
Yes.
And having a horse to follow. But I think it's good from a wellness of the animals perspective, which I don't know that was always taken into consideration. I mean, if this were 10 years ago, would they just plow right ahead and say, "Hey, we've got a Triple Crown to try and win
here"? Got to do it.
I think the wellness of the animal is top of mind, so that's good to see. I can't imagine the television ratings for the Preakness will be very good, but that's a byproduct of it.
I got a horse.
Are you ready? You do? Who do you have?
Napoleon Solo. Oh. Odds are 8-1. Anybody get the reference of the name?
No.
In the 1960s, there was a television show called The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Uh-huh.
It was a spy show. Really good. I was a kid. To a 10-year-old, it was really good. The great Robert Vaughn played the lead character whose name was Napoleon Solo.
Oh,
no kidding.
Look at that knowledge.
I thought it was going to be a cross between Napoleon Dynamite and Star Wars or something. Shows you what I know, yeah.
What's coming up tonight this weekend?
Yes, Soccer Weekly tonight. We've got a ton of soccer to talk about because, of course, St. Louis City SC, they play tomorrow at DC United. I think just the second time these two clubs have played. And there's also some former players on City that are, I think 3 of them that are now with DC United. So that will certainly be an interesting storyline to follow. And we'll see everybody tonight at 6 o'clock.
All right, we'll be listening. Thanks
Brendan.
Heidi. 5 minutes before 5 o'clock, Captain Paul, how's traffic?
Heidi, we have one active accident. It's a crash on 70 West at Cave Springs. It has traffic backed up to 94. 70 East is jammed from Route TW in Forestel to Route Z in Wentzville. 70 West is heavy from Lake St. Louis Boulevard to near Route TW. 270 South is busy from Olive down to Manchester. 64 West heavy between Kings Highway and Clayton Skinker, and it's stop and go from 364 to I-70. 64 East bogs down from 170 to Big Bend. 44 West is crowded between Tucker and 5564. And in Illinois, 64 East congested between 111 and 157. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
I want to tell you about a dentist. I want to tell you about my dentist. 3 locations: Florissant Dental Services, STL Mid-County Dental, and Lake St. Louis Dentistry. There's a new office open up out in Lake St. Louis, half mile from 4064. Yes, there's another one out there. And don't be confused. This one is my dentist, Lake St. Louis Dentistry.com. So I don't know who those other people are. But LakeStLouisDentistry.com comes with my seal of approval, my parents' seal of approval. My entire family has been going to the Landgrafs for our entire lives, and they've been our dentists. It's Sean now, and then his dad, John, was mine. And then John's dad was my parents' dentist. So it's really fun and interesting how that all works. And now they've expanded out of Florissant, and they've got 3 locations now. The brand new one out in Lake St. Louis. LakeStLouisDentistry.com, and you can find them on the phone, 636-333-6150.
Meet Matthew Preston. Inside his apartment, everything he holds dear is protected by Progressive's Renter's Insurance, like his laptop and a surprisingly valuable collection of baseball bobbleheads. Outside his apartment, his laptop is still protected, as are his bobbleheads, which he carries around with him for reasons no one knows. Renters, the limits of protection aren't just the 4 walls of your home. When you're in Progressive's Protection Zone, get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
Memorial Day savings are happening at the Home Depot. Get up to an extra $1,000 off select top brand appliances like Frigidaire. Plus, get free delivery. Upgrade your kitchen with a fridge with an extra large ice capacity, a stone-baked pizza oven, or a dishwasher offering an extra fast 50-minute normal wash cycle. Save on appliances this Memorial Day at the Home Depot. Offer valid May 14th through June 3rd, U.S. only. Free delivery on appliance purchases of $998 or more. See store online for details.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
Well, Heidi and Bob, back in the day on this date, 1930, Ellen Church became the first airline stewardess when she went on duty aboard a United Airlines flight from San Francisco to Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Really?
Who was flying to Cheyenne, Wyoming in
Cowboys.
1930? Cowboys, yeah.
Probably rodeo time.
I thought the whole point, Bob, was that they rode horses.
Not from San Francisco.
They drive the cattle to San Francisco, and then they jump on the plane and fly back? Is that how?
I don't know that they're driving the cattle that far, are they?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway.
What were they serving on a flight in 1930?
Cigarettes.
And coffee.
And scotch.
Yeah. 1940, nylon stockings went on sale for the first time in the United States.
You know
what were they before that, silk?
Yeah, they had to be, right? But what were they conserving during the war? It was the
Silk.
nylon.
Well,
or silk for the parachutes?
Maybe.
I'm going to tell you, I cursed them. Trying to put on stockings. Oh, it's such a pain.
Not into it.
Too bad.
Yeah.
You got to keep it up.
Yeah, we really like them. And in 1941, Joe DiMaggio's record 56-game hitting streak began.
Wow. All right, coming up, speaking of flying, we're going to talk to Charles Lindbergh's grandson, Eric Lindbergh, after a short break.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, the station you have depended on for 3 decades. We are the talk of St. Louis.
I'm Mike Dubusky. President Trump is about to return to the White House after his trip to China and his summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping this week. ABC News Chief Washington correspondent Mary Bruce.
Questions remain about what progress was made here. The president came to Beijing hoping to convince Xi to use his influence over Iran, one of China's closest allies, to open the Strait of Hormuz.
We did discuss Iran. We feel very similar to Iran. We want that to end.
But it's unclear if Xi agreed to pressure Iran.
The conflict in the Middle East is continuing to put a strain on prices here at home, with global oil prices closing the week up 3% on worries about a prolonged market shock if the strait remains shut down. Celia Monreal is a mother of 5 in Tyler, Texas, and says she's feeling the pinch at the pump and at the grocery store.
I guess the way that he sold that he was going to better the economy, I voted for Donald Trump, which I regret doing, which like a lot of people regret doing.
The CDC now says all the Americans who were on board that Dutch cruise ship that saw the hantavirus outbreak in recent weeks are now all being held at the National Quarantine Unit in Nebraska. 2 were transferred from Georgia today. ABC News medical contributor Dr. Alok Patel says none of the Americans are symptomatic, but a French woman is now in critical condition in the hospital.
Hantavirus can affect your heart, your lungs, and your kidneys, so treatment may involve mechanical ventilation, artificial bypass machines to protect the lungs and the heart. That's something called ECMO, which some people may refer to as an artificial lung. That's fluids, that's blood pressure support, that's everything to protect those vital organs.
Meanwhile, the CDC also tracking an outbreak of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And Colorado Governor Jared Polis has granted clemency to Tina Peters, the former county clerk convicted in an election fraud scheme in 2020. You're listening to ABC News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
A California jury will start deliberations next week in the civil trial pitting two tech billionaires against each other. Elon Musk is suing OpenAI's Sam Altman and his top deputy, accusing them of betraying plans to keep OpenAI a nonprofit. ABC News legal contributor and Hofstra law professor James Sample says the burden of proof rests on Musk.
Musk has the higher mountain to climb, and he actually has a preliminary matter that he must persuade the jurors of initially, which is to say the jury must find preliminarily that he brought this claim within the statute of limitations. There is a significant argument that this case was past the statute of limitations. If the jury finds that, they don't even need to get to the merits of the question.
In an exclusive interview, General Motors CEO Mary Barra says she's concerned about affordability if prices stay high through Memorial Day.
We want to make sure that people have the opportunity to be able to afford what they need. That's why we focus on having affordable vehicles. But it is something that we're watching because I think it speaks to the overall health of the economy, which is important for the country, important for jobs. And we hope that obviously the conflict in Iran ends as quickly as possible.
Barra sits on the board of ABC's parent company, Disney. And just hours to go before the Long Island Railroad to strike a deal with union workers before their contract expires tonight. The system serves nearly 250,000 daily commuters. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer says the key to solving the city's economic deficit is to bring in more residents. Speaking this morning on The McGraw Show, Spencer says her focus is repopulating North St. Louis.
You have a wide swath of a city that is largely vacant and largely absent of human beings. That is enormously expensive to maintain. So first and foremost, we have got to have a population there that can support that area, the city as a whole, with tax dollars. And so our first priority is to bring back population, to populate North St. Louis so that we can have a functional ecosystem, a city that can actually start to pay for all those expensive services like trash pickup. The illegal dumping up there is absolutely enormously expensive to handle.
Meantime, St. Louis City leaders unveiled a $230 million plan to use RAM settlement money to redevelop North St. Louis. A man is suing the city of St. Louis and a local church almost a year to the day after his wife died in the May 16th tornado. A wrongful death lawsuit filed by Harry Pendleton alleges Centennial Christian Church was poorly maintained and not in reasonably safe condition when the EF3 twister hit, causing it to collapse while his wife Patricia was inside. The lawsuit also accuses the city of negligence for failing to activate the outdoor warning system before the tornado hit. Pendleton is requesting the lawsuit to go in front of a jury. Congresswoman Ann Wagner is calling for a federal investigation into U.S. Postal Service processing centers in the St. Louis area. In a letter to FBI Co-Deputy Director and former Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, Wagner claims the USPS has been unwilling to fully cooperate with local law enforcement investigating crimes of mail fraud, check washing, and other criminal activity. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe is celebrating tax reforms. The story from KTRS's Jill Enders.
State lawmakers passed the governor's tax plan this year, and that plan will go before voters in August or November. Governor Kehoe calls this a big win for Missouri.
This is a transformational moment for our state, and it's about more than just taxes. It's about growth. It's really about competitiveness, and it's about sending a message across the country that Missouri will compete and Missouri will win. We want families to keep more of what they earn from the start. We want entrepreneurs and job creators to choose Missouri.
If the plan is approved by voters, Missouri's state income tax will be eliminated and replaced by new sales taxes. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
This market report now brought to you by J. Bill Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement, Saturday mornings 9 to 11. Wall Street pulling back after record highs earlier this week. Dow Jones dropped 537 points to close at 49,526. NASDAQ fell 410 to finish at 26,225. S&P 500 fell 92 points to close at 7,408. Now let's check sports and traffic with Captain Paul Kopsky.
So be the Cardinals and Royals renew the I-70 series tonight at Busch Stadium. The Birds return home after a winning road trip to San Diego and Sacramento. And St. Louis City SC looks to make it 3 in a row when they take on DC United out in our nation's capital tomorrow. The last and only time these two clubs previously met was a 2-2 draw back in March of 2024. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. 70 West is heavy from Lake St. Louis Boulevard to near Route TW, where a stalled vehicle is blocking the right lane. 64 West is heavy between Kings Highway and Clayton Skinker and is stop and go from 364 to I-70. 64 East bogs down from McKnight to Big Bend. 44 West is crowded between Tucker and 5564. And in Illinois, 64 East is congested between 111 and 157. This traffic report is brought to you by Neighbors Credit Union. If you're ready to upsize, downsize, or first-time home buy, turn to the team at Neighbors Credit Union. At Neighbors Credit Union, you'll find great rates, expert advice, and personalized friendly service throughout the entire home loan process and beyond. That's just what you'd expect from a great neighbor. Apply online today at neighborscu.org. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, Captain Paul. KTRS weather, cloudy tonight, overnight low of 67. Scattered thunderstorms tomorrow morning to midday with a high of 84. Sunday, mostly sunny, high of 90. Currently, we have 81 degrees. The time is 5:10. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Hi, it's John Goodman. I love being back in my hometown of St. Louis, and I love being able to take my hometown radio station, KTRS, with me on the road. So I don't have to be in St. Louis to listen to the talk of St. Louis. The Big 550, KTRS.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550, KTRS.
In the cold gray dawn when the stars were gone, in a mighty aeroplane flew a boy in search of fame, far across the bounding main, like a bird on high out to do.
Next week is the Lindbergh Foundation Spirit of St. Louis 99th anniversary celebration. Eric Lindbergh, Charles Lindbergh's grandson and chairman of the foundation, has joined us to tell us more. Thanks for making time for us this afternoon.
Absolutely, Heidi. Glad to join.
Have you heard that song before, by the way?
I have.
Many times, I'm sure.
There's a couple of them floating around out there. They all kind of sound the same.
I know.
But isn't that just speaking to the power of the culture at the time, of how big Charles Lindbergh was? They made multiple songs about him.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think biographer Scott Berg wrote a Pulitzer Prize-winning book about my grandfather, and he called them, both he and my grandmother, the most famous people on the planet for about 10 years straight.
Wow.
So it was a long time ago, but bar none. So that was heads of state, et cetera. They were sort of the first mega media superstars.
That is so cool. You are also a pilot and recreated your grandfather's historic flight several years ago. How was that?
I did. On the 75th anniversary, I flew from San Diego to St. Louis and St. Louis to New York and New York to Paris in a small single-engine aircraft to sort of retrace my grandfather's flights. And I did that to help, focus in on the future of flight in space, because I'm nuts about space and astronauts and so forth, and also for people facing hardship in their life, that they might get a second chance like I got and have the ability to change the world as well. It was an extraordinary experience for me.
You know what? Yeah, go back to that. Did you try and channel your grandfather and think about what he was thinking about? If I recall, and I saw the old movie not too long ago where he really wasn't like we think of flight 30,000 feet. He was just over the waves all the way over. Did you kind of try and get a feel for what that was like?
I did and I didn't. I approached it like he did as a mission, and the mission was more important that I made it alive rather than made it across all the way. And so from that standpoint, it was the same, but I decided to use modern aircraft, small single engine aircraft, but carbon fiber, very comfortable with an autopilot. And so the risk was really mitigated on my standpoint, especially compared to the equipment he had. But I found myself focusing so much on that and the messaging I wanted to get across to the world, and that I lost that, how shall you say, retrospective, because I was really curious about what it was like, this event that changed his life, changed the world, and indeed changed my life. And where I really found it was out over the ocean when I lost radio contact and I was alone and I saw icebergs. And, that was where I really connected with what it must have been like for him.
And describe the age of your grandfather. Did you ever meet him?
Oh, yeah. So he was born in 1902, I think. He died in 1977, and I was, I guess, 8 or 9 when he died. So I knew him as a kid, and I thought he was fun. Other people that I met didn't like him because he didn't sign autographs. And, some old guy that I met said he was a kid, and he stood in the line for a long time to get his autograph. And he asked for it, and my grandfather said no. He was telling me about that, 60 years later, and it was a big thing in his life. And I get it. I get the disappointment of that kid, and I also get that he would have spent his lifetime signing autographs if he did that. And he wanted to move on. He was a very restless, super smart person. We think in the family he was maybe on the spectrum somewhere. He was savant, brilliant, engineering-wise, but he was also sort of short in his answers and very, how shall I say, didactic and to the point where he missed some of the social niceties, and we know people like that now, and they are absolutely brilliant and, socially awkward.
Yeah. We're talking to Eric Lindbergh, who is Charles Lindbergh's grandson, chairman of the Lindbergh Foundation. This gala is honoring Anne Morrow Lindbergh, your grandmother, who I think these days doesn't get as much attention as she deserves. Tell us about her.
Oh, yeah. So we're preparing for the 100th anniversary of my grandfather's flight in the Spirit of St. Louis. That really changed the world. And we thought, it's really important that we focus in for the 99th, especially on my grandmother and what she did, not only in aviation, but in literature also. So when my grandparents met and married, she immediately learned how to fly, got the first class. It was the first woman to get a first class glider pilot rating,
which is so cool.
And then they flew all around the world, charting routes. I mean, think about this. You're 25, 26, 27 years old, and you're flying around the world with some guy that you just met and charting routes that have never been flown before.
Whoa.
Connecting the continents in a float plane, no less. So your runways are water. And you're fully prepared to, sleep in the plane and do radio and all the navigation with really primitive navigation tools. What an extraordinary thing. And so not only did she do that, she was the first woman to get the Hubbard Medal for exploration from the National Geographic Society, but then she wrote about it in these books. and she brought it in prose to the public. North to the Orient was her first book about those flights, and then Listen to the Wind. And if you read those books, it transports you in a way that I think became super popular, won the National Book Award, and just brought humanity along with this technology that was changing the way we moved around the planet.
I know they weren't married when he made his famous flight, but were they together?
They were not.
Okay.
Not yet.
Oh, well, speaking of that flight and speaking of the plane, we've got a replica here at the Missouri History Museum, and you take a look at it, there's no windshield. And some of the pictures of him flying it have him hanging out the window like a dog with the window down because you can't see. How do you see out of this airplane, Spirit of St. Louis? And if you can't see, how do you land it? I mean, once you're up there, I get it, okay? You're not going to run into anybody. But how do you land an airplane like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The airplanes of those days were tail draggers. So they didn't have a tricycle gear with a nose wheel up front. They had a tail wheel. So when they're sitting on the ground, they had an engine cowling up front that really blocked your view of the runway anyway. So they learned to do S-turns on the ground to look and then, turn, and so they could see out the side. And he wanted to put the fuel tank for the Spirit, as he designed it, in front of the cockpit, because in the event that he crashed on takeoff, which was not all that unlikely, then he wouldn't get crushed between the gas tank and the engine. So that was his consideration, and really those planes you couldn't see over the front anyway, and in flight there wasn't that much traffic to have to watch out for, other airplanes, in other words. And so he just thought it was just more or less like the airplanes that he was already flying.
Wow. Eric, I've always wondered, what is it like to grow up with the name Lindbergh, and does everybody expect so much of you?
Yes and no. It's sort of a double-edged sword. I think these days people, Lindbergh is much farther from the public consciousness. But when people understand, and I'm a pilot, so getting my private pilot rating and then going on and becoming an instructor and working in the industry, I didn't tell people because I didn't want them to think that had an easy time of it or anything. So I think it's sort of a double-edged sword, and some people have no clue these days, like, who is Lindbergh? And others have this sort of hero worship thing because they understand not only did he fly across the Atlantic in 1927, but he helped, he was with Sikorsky when Sikorsky flew the first helicopter, and he helped site the Air Force Academy, and he helped, Boeing develop the B-17 bombers, and he helped refine the leaning techniques in the P-38 fighter, which helped turn the tide of the war in the Pacific, and all of these extraordinary things, and then people get really excited. So I think it's a very interesting thing coming into the 100th, because there are books coming out. In fact, James Hansen, who wrote First Man, that was made into a movie about Neil Armstrong, has written a book called Solo and Together, and it'll be published this fall. He's coming to our event at the Missouri History Museum next week. He's written an extraordinary book about my grandparents and their marriage. And so it really details all of it, the controversy, the hardships, the triumphs, and that is now being shopped for a movie. So I think it's going to come back to the public's consciousness, all of these things that both of my grandparents did, and it's such a unique opportunity for us on Women in Aviation Day, May 20th, next week, to be celebrating not only my grandmother but but other women in aerospace, aviation, and literature. So we're super excited about that.
Yeah. You just went through a list, and it's not even half of what your grandparents did. But when somebody asks you what you're more proud of or what do you remember most about your grandparents, what first comes to mind?
Well, okay. So personal story, my grandfather, when he would come to visit, this is super personal. We just loved he was super playful with kids, I think, because they're sort of authentic and they didn't do the hero worship thing. And I always bugged him to show me how he could wiggle his ears without touching them.
Could he do that?
He must have got tired of me asking, because he said, I'll give you 50 cents if you can learn how to wiggle your ears. And so I spent the next 6 months, twitching all my facial muscles. And when he came back to visit, not only could I show him I could wiggle my ears without touching them, but I could flare my nostrils and raise one eyebrow and do them all at the same time, because I was so motivated for that 50-cent prize. He was happy.
I love
Can
it.
you?
I think he gave me a buck.
Oh, he gave you a buck.
I was going to say, that deserves more than 50 cents, Eric.
Can you still do it, Eric?
I can. You should come to the event at the History Museum on Wednesday, and I'll show you.
I'm curious. I'd mentioned the movie The Spirit of St. Louis with Jimmy Stewart. You specifically, what do you think of that film, and how many times have you seen it? And what does the family in general over the decades think about that film?
I hated that movie when I was a kid.
Right.
Whoa.
I saw it, and I couldn't get past the fact that, Jimmy Stewart just wasn't my grandfather.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when I saw it as an adult, and I could separate the actor from in the movie playing him, I went, oh my God, he nailed it.
Oh wow.
And he got my grandfather, or sort of our family's awkward forward walk. We have these little things. He studied it and he got it right, and it was, I think they did an extraordinary job with that movie.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Wild.
The other funny aside, I'll say, my aunt, when she saw it at the screening with my grandmother, this is my Aunt Reeve, their youngest child, partway through the movie, she turned to my grandmother and tugged on her arm and said, "Does he make it?"
Oh, that's so good.
That's cute.
Yes. We can't let you go without talking about Christina Cook, the first woman to travel the moon, is going to be honored at the gala. That's really cool.
Oh my gosh. I think my grandparents were among the first people to see wide swaths of the planet from the air. And they call that the overview perspective. And Christina Cook and the Artemis II astronauts that just got back from going around the moon really reawakened humanity's awareness that we're just this tiny little fragile blue ball, this self-contained spaceship Earth. And we're so happy to have Christina. She can't come to the event, but she recorded an acceptance, so she's getting the Anne Morrow Lindbergh Award this year. And we're so excited because the astronauts founded the Lindbergh Foundation. It was Neil Armstrong and General Jimmy Doolittle, Gene Cernan, and those early Apollo astronauts that my parents knew. And when my grandfather died, they approached my grandmother and said, it's so important. We think this overview perspective and the balance concept that they wrote about in their books and their writings, that we start this foundation. And so it's a public 501c3 that works on balancing advances in technology that we need for civilization's needs with preservation of the environment. And so having the astronauts on board and rekindling that today is so important for our future and for the kids that have to live into this future. Our mission as the foundation is to inspire the students that will live into that and enable them to solve the problems that are facing them. It's such an honor to both be represented by, founded by, and working with astronauts because they're sort of the pinnacle of humanity's technology and enabling us to get out there and start to realize the benefits of space. That's so important for our future.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you one more question about Grandpa. 7.5 hours New York to Paris now on a standard flight. 3.5 on the Concorde jet. How long did it take Charles Lindbergh to fly from New York to Paris? And did he sleep in the plane?
Yeah, 33.5 hours is what it took him. And he didn't really sleep the night before.
Oh.
So if you can imagine that kind of sleep deprivation, I'll say he didn't sleep, but he did see apparitions in the cockpit.
Mm.
And you can say, okay, well, that's probably sleep deprivation. But it for such an analytical, engineering-minded guy, it made him wonder about what are humans in the absence of technology, and led him to do some very interesting, investigations in his life. And so, no, he didn't really sleep. He couldn't, because he designed the Spirit of St. Louis to be unstable. And that means, he put no dihedral in the wing of the Spirit of St. Louis, which means if it's disrupted from straight and level, it would not return to straight and level like a modern airplane will. It would continue to diverge, and that noise and the G-forces of it starting to dive would wake him up. So I sort of joke about that being he put this sort of primitive autopilot on board the Spirit of St. Louis. It's really a plane that only its mother could love, because it was difficult.
Yeah.
But he did that so that he would stay awake.
Wow.
And was there a reason why he picked Paris, or was that just the easiest?
Yeah, that was the Ortigue Prize. So a gentleman who owned hotels in New York said, I'll put up $25,000 for the first nonstop flights between New York and Paris. And so it had to be New York and Paris. Either direction, he didn't care. So anyway, that's why, and he flew across trying to win that prize.
Well, Eric, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending part of your afternoon with us. The Spirit of St. Louis 99th Anniversary Gala is next week, May 20th. It'll be at the History Museum, and you can learn more at lindberghfoundation.org. Have a great weekend, Eric.
Thank you so much. Take care, and see you on the 100th.
Absolutely.
Out to do or die on his journey over there. Many million hearts beat for him, and the whole world said a prayer for Lindbergh. Oh, what a flying fool.
You'd think for such a famous feat, we could have gotten someone better to write the songs.
You don't know, that might have been the top songwriter in America.
Yeah, just because you don't love it doesn't mean the rest of America doesn't. 5:31, Captain Paul, how's traffic?
Heidi, no accidents, just some slow traffic. 70 West is heavy from Lake St. Louis Boulevard to Wentzville Parkway. 64 West is jammed from Lake St. Louis Boulevard to I-70. 64 East bogs down from 170 to Big Bend. 44 West is crowded between the King Bridge and 5564. And in Illinois, 64 East is congested between 111 and 157. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Ah, spring. The chirping birds, the warmer weather, the leafing trees, and spring storms. When Mother Nature does damage to your trees and bushes, have a Raised Tree Service arborist come by for a free no-obligation estimate. Raised will keep your trees and shrubs healthy all spring and summer. Mention KTRS and receive a free stump grind if accessible with any tree removal. Call 314-821-2665 or online at raisedtreeservice.com.
Look at our alums, the contributions that they have made throughout industries in the St. Louis region.
Terry Freerks, a graduate of the University of Missouri, St. Louis.
UMSL is embedded in the fabric of the St. Louis community. We're hands-on, and when our students graduate, they are definitely career ready, but maybe more importantly, they're career confident.
More is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
Hey, Josh here, and I want to tell you about something near and dear to my heart.
Pizza. Dogtown Pizza, of course.
And if you've ever tried one, chances are it's near and dear to you, too. 12 different varieties to choose from: 4-meat, the SOB, or the veggie. And chances are, I've got a hot wing pizza in the oven as we speak. So if you want to have a serious conversation about a serious pizza, the only answer is Dogtown. Near and dear to me in every local grocery store in town and at dogtownpizza.com.
Kuna Food Service has been the trusted food supplier in the Midwest since 1918. For over 100 years, Kuna Food Service has been distributing the highest quality food products to some of your favorite restaurants while delivering superior customer service. When a restaurant puts their trust in Kuna Food Service, they get a team that truly cares about their success. That's why at Kuna, they like to say, they're big enough to handle it, yet small enough to care. Check them out online at kunafoodservice.com.
The Frank and Jill Show.
On the next Frank and Jill Show, Alvin Reed will be sitting in with me to co-host. We'll have an author who tells us why women say they're sorry too much, plus one of St. Louis's hottest entrepreneurs and Alexis Zotos on things we shouldn't be missing in the loo this week.
Samano and Jill Farmer, weekdays 10 to noon, right here on KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
I don't know if you've heard, but Blue Dot Fever has taken over. Mason Leith, ABC News digital reporter in New York, joins us to explain exactly what Blue Dot Fever is and why we shouldn't really be concerned for our health.
Exactly. So Blue Dot Fever is basically the music industry's new nickname for weak ticket sales right now. So the phrase actually comes from Ticketmaster seating charts, where unsold seats appear as blue dots on the portal to buy tickets. And so lately, promoters, artists, fans, people in the music industry have all been noticing that there's been a sea of blue dots sitting right there on Ticketmaster before some major artists canceled parts of their tours recently. People including Post Malone, Zayn Malik, Meghan Trainor, and most recently, the Pussycat Dolls.
Except the Pussycat Dolls actually said we're kind of putting things on hold because ticket sales were not great. The rest of them kind of had other excuses.
Exactly. So the Pussycat Dolls, they deserve some credit here because they came straight out and they said they had to cancel all of their North American shows, save one in Los Angeles, because they couldn't sell the tickets. But a lot of other artists have had some very convenient things to say. For example, Post Malone, he canceled 6 dates on his stadium tour with Jelly Roll, saying that he needed more time to finish his album. But a local news station in El Paso, where the tour was supposed to kick off, actually showed the venue seating chart on air. It was a 50,000 seat stadium, and it was basically a sea of blue dots. Meghan Trainor similarly also scrapped her entire tour, saying she wanted to be home with her newborn baby. But music industry insiders looked at her seating maps and showed that most of her venues were also largely unsold. So,
Mason, do we think that most of this is because ticket prices have just gone through the roof?
I think right now it's just a collision of so many factors, which number one and most importantly is that the ticket prices have gotten to be very expensive. You know, the average concert ticket this year has hit $144, and that's before fees, parking, gas, accommodation. So if you're a family of four, I mean, going to a concert could be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. On top of that, you know, gas is over a $4 a gallon nationally, and 84% of American adults are worried about a recession. So, you know, I think people right now in American families are doing the math and saying, we're going to pull back from this sort of discretionary spending right now.
I personally have been priced out of many concerts. I was going to drive to Chicago this summer and see the Strokes, but the tickets are expensive and the cost to drive to Chicago is expensive. But there's another angle to this, Mason, and I heard earlier in the year or maybe early last year, the Black Keys were going back on tours and they were going to go to stadiums Well, they had terrible ticket sales. You're not going to fill a stadium when you're the Black Keys and you haven't really made a big hit in a couple of years. And they blamed their management that said we wanted to do smaller venues, and they pushed for the stadium. And now look at where we're at. They had to cancel the whole thing and reschedule it. So even within the house, they're booking bigger arenas when maybe they should go for the smaller ones.
No, and that's a key point of all of this is what a lot of people don't realize is that going on tour for an artist is insanely expensive. So artists are trying to max out their value of what they can do. So, in a lot of people's mind, they just try to book these huge venues to try to make as much money back for these very, very expensive tours that can cost in the millions of dollars. But, if they're not able to, for certain economic reasons or certain, the desire to see them is not big enough, they need to go to a smaller venue. They're not going to be able to fill these big venues. And that's what some of the Blue Dot Fever is possibly suggesting right now.
And when I see Post Malone and Meghan Trainor all have big hits, and Post Malone's been pretty hot, but understanding a manager and an artist, understanding their heat level and what they can reap with that heat level sounds like it's got to be really critical right now.
It's absolutely essential. And really at the end of the day, these artists have to be very honest with themselves. And if they don't think that they can recoup, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on these tours, they need to be very honest. And they're saying, we can't do this right now and we need to wait for a better time.
Mason, I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but for years, at least I've always been told that the only way that artists make money is on the tour, not by actual album sales or streaming. Is that still the case?
That's a great question. I don't have the exact data to share with you right now, but the conventional thinking is that, artists right now in this moment are making way less money than they have previously because they didn't make as much off of streaming as they did when they were selling physical albums like 10 or 15 years ago. So a lot of artists are way more incentivized to go on tour because they're not only making money off of the actual tickets, it's concessions, it's merchandise, it's all of these other things that they're capitalizing on.
It's interesting. I've been around a while, and the way the music industry has changed over the last 5 decades, moreover, how it's evolving even quicker and understanding where it's going, not be behind the wave, but be in front of it. Because as Heidi pointed out, we've been told, for a while now, making money on tour is the key. But back when I was first listening to rock and roll, the tour was like basically just came out of the marketing budget, selling the physical records. And so trying to figure that out is going to be critical. So I'll ask you, what is the next thing? If they came to you, if an artist came to you and said, what's the next thing? How do I stay in front? What's happening in the music industry?
If I knew what that was, I would be out there doing it. I'd be out there making the money.
That's right. True. It's just so weird. All right, I bought concert tickets today. $25 a ticket at Off-Broadway, great price. But when you put in the fees for 3 tickets, it's like I bought a fourth one. It added up to about $100 even. So the fees, when you say that average concert ticket these days, Mason, is $144, which is kind of crazy, is that including the fees, or we haven't even gotten there yet?
We haven't even gotten to the fees. And so, for example, Post Malone, like who we were talking about, the average ticket of one of his shows that for the tour was $230.
Yeah. There are some artists, though, that are kind of putting their foot down and saying, look, this is as high as we're going to go, and hopefully they can continue that.
Right, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things for the experts, the music industry people that I've been talking to this week about this topic is that they're saying, the idea of Blue Dot Fever, it really could create some positive pressure for the industry to really rethink their pricing and their venue strategy right now. A lot of people, a lot of music consumers prefer to be in smaller, more intimate venues with the artists that they love, so people could have smaller venues, shorten their tours, and, just offer more competitive ticket pricing from the get-go. So that could be a positive, effect from all of this.
Yeah, and I think that that's also why you see so many festivals, because you can pay maybe a higher price for that ticket, but you get to see 20 people instead of 1.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I've been tracking as well, is that festivals are doing so well right now, because you pay for that one ticket and you can see 30 artists, over a weekend. And you really maximize your value that you're putting in for your money, and you get to see so much, whether as one concert, it's only one person and maybe their opener.
Yeah, it's so true. Mason, I go to a lot of shows, and I found myself even trying to find festivals to fit in more than just going to see the one-off. So maybe that is the wave of the future. Mason Leith, it's always great to chat with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on your show.
The final stretch of your career isn't about slowing down. It's about getting strategic. Those last 5 years before retirement can define your financial future, from maximizing contributions and paying off high-interest debt to mapping out health care and testing your post-retirement budget. This is your moment to take control. At Pioneer Wealth Management, we help you connect all the moving parts. Real peace of mind starts long before your final paycheck. Investment advisory services offered through Creative One Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Pioneer Wealth Management and Creative One Wealth are unaffiliated. Life insurance professional. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal.
You know that honey-do list isn't getting any shorter, and you got to make a dent into it. Can I recommend going somewhere to helping you out? Schnarr's Hardware. Schnarr's Hardware has 2 locations, one in Webster and one in Ladue. One great family, 2 great hardware stores. Schnarr's Hardware. When you walk in with that list, you say, okay, I think I know how to do this one, but these 3 I need help on. And you know what? The people behind the counter at Schnarr's Hardware, that's what they do best. They have the expertise, so they can help you with electrical, help you with plumbing, painting, really anything at Schnarr's Hardware. They're small, they're compact, but it's that friendly neighborhood hardware store that has been the way it's been here in America for years, right? You remember when your grandfather took you to the hardware store. That's Schnarr's Hardware. The popcorn and the advice are free. So when you go to Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations in Webster and in Ladue. Don't forget about the website, schnarrshardware.com. So for all of your hardware needs and that honey-do list, Schnarr's Hardware or schnarrshardware.com.
Live, local, the talk of St. Louis. Depend on it. We don't just say it, we do it. Weather updates from the First Alert Weather Team, national news from the trusted ABC News crew, and digging into local news from the KTRS award-winning news department. We are the Big 550 KTRS. Depend on it. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's do a little entertainment news. We still don't know when Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are getting married, but it sounds like something is brewing because friends and family are getting save the dates. But this is what's interesting. They're not coming in the mail or by a text, email, or social media. They're coming by way of phone calls. It's easier to keep things quiet that way. Taylor is calling some people personally. Her assistants are handling the rest. Taylor and Travis still haven't told anyone the exact date or location, just that it's happening this summer and they should keep their schedules flexible.
Bob, what was that thing with Mission Impossible? You know, he reads the thing and then this message will self-destruct. Why don't she get one of those things?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. And you have to open the window and just throw it out and then it blows up.
That's a good idea. Maybe you should call her people. Time Magazine's list of the 100 most philanthropic people of 2026 includes Steven Spielberg, Idris Elba, Elton John, and Rihanna.
How about that?
I thought that was pretty interesting. A list of emotionally heavy scenes from the 80s. We're talking movies and TVs out. And let me see if you guys agree.
Emotionally heavy.
Yes, like we watched these things as a kid and they probably disturbed us.
Okay.
From the 80s.
From the 80s.
Is this like horror stuff?
No. Like emotional stuff.
Oh, emotional.
Yes.
Okay.
E.T. when he turns white.
Oh my gosh.
And he appears to die.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Farewell, Mr. Hooper on Sesame Street. Big Bird learns that Mr. Hooper is never coming back. He died in real life, so the show's producer decided to add that to the storyline.
Why didn't they say they drove him out to the farm? And now he lives out on the farm.
Because
that's what happened to your puppy, right?
Teaches.
I have a Sesame Street random later.
Oh, I can't wait.
FYI.
Harry and the Hendersons. George yells at and hits Harry.
I think he throws stuff at him
to make him leave before the hunters arrive. But
Really
it's kind
sad.
of it's sad. The Land Before Time. Littlefoot's mother dies protecting him from T-Rex.
Yeah.
The Bicycle Man parts 1 and 2 on different strokes when Arnold and Dudley are groomed by a sexual predator.
That was a two-parter?
Yes.
He has the boys take their shirts off at the bike shop. I'm guessing Mr. D comes in just in time.
Yeah.
What? I never heard of this.
Maybe Mrs. Garrett saves him.
I don't remember which one, but it's when sitcoms even were used as teaching tools.
Remember at the end of some sitcoms where they would come back and they would say,
Yes.
"Hi, I'm Michael J. Fox. And what you just watched was fake, but it could be real."
Yes.
Remember those?
Absolutely. The never-ending story. Artax the horse sinks into the swamp of sadness.
I have a lot of friends that tell me about that, but
I've never seen it either.
No, I haven't either.
Still Magnolias. Shelby has that diabetic attack while getting her hair done.
Drink your juice, Shelby. Come
drink
on.
your juice.
Oh, my goodness.
And then Sherry Lifesaver on Punky Brewster. Sherry is found not breathing inside the refrigerator. And the same thing. You're not supposed to climb into the refrigerator.
Right.
Hi, this is Punky Brewster.
Pete Davidson and his girlfriend have split 5 months after their baby was born.
Oh, they got a kid.
Yeah, they have a kid.
Is she a model? Is she something? Is she nothing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Rooster, starring Steve Carell, wrapped up its first season as HBO's most-watched comedy debut in more than 15 years. Has anybody watched it? I know that Royal Oaks mentioned it a couple times the other day, and I'm like, I don't know what this is.
I'm aware that it's a show called Rooster with Steve Carell, and that's all I know.
It's Steve Carell. Does it mention who else is in it? There's someone else famous in it. Is John Hamm in it? Did I make that up?
I think so.
Did you say the highest rated comedy?
Most watched comedy debut on
debut.
HBO in more than 15 years. As far as TV goes this weekend, now streaming on Paramount Plus, you've got the series premiere of Dutton Ranch.
Tonight, baby.
Are you ready for it?
I'm all over it.
The cast. Annette Bening looks amazing in this.
Ed Harris.
Yeah. Crazy. Okay, tomorrow at 6 on NBC, the Preakness Stakes. At 8 on Netflix, Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano.
Is that this weekend?
That's tomorrow, 8 o'clock Netflix.
I'm in on that one as well. Two of my faves.
Will Ferrell hosts Saturday Night Live, and Paul McCartney is the musical guest for the 51st season finale.
I'm going to be in on that as well. You've just programmed my weekend. Thank you.
I'm here for it. And then what I'll probably be doing Sunday at 7 on Amazon, Shania Twain hosts the 61st Academy of Country Music Awards. Ella Langley, Laney Wilson, Miranda Lambert, Casey Musgraves, all performing. So that's going to be pretty good.
Wow. I have said time and time again, I am not a fan of country music.
We know.
But these shows are fun.
Yeah.
Like I'll be texting Heidi
but
during
I'm
the
going to
show.
say you are a fan of it if you're watching because you're just watching for the concerts.
Yeah, it really is just song after song.
Yeah, so you do like it, you just don't want to admit it. How about a couple birthdays?
Yeah, I got a couple birthdays for you. We'll go quick here. You know her as Meadow Soprano on The Sopranos.
Jamie Lynn Sigler.
She was on Entourage as well, playing a enhanced version of herself, Jamie-Lynn Sigler.
I actually interviewed her when she was on a show Jimmy Fallon produced, and it was like...
Was she nice?
Yes, she was very nice. It was like Men with Babies or...
Doesn't she have an affliction that she's been
MS?
A spokesperson for? I'm not sure.
I think she does. I'm going to say she is... I'm going to say she's 50.
Time it. Deductive reasoning.
46.
45.
Oh.
Josh figured it out.
Man.
Okay.
Here's one for the old head sports people. He's one of the best anchors ever on TV, Dan Patrick.
Oh, so true.
Dan Patrick. He's so great. And now he always does that 40-yard dash. 62.
I'm going to say 65.
70.
Whoa.
No, Dan Patrick? Oh, I'm thinking of somebody. I'm thinking of
Mike
Rich
Patrick.
Eisen.
Oh, Rich Eisen.
Yeah, Dan Patrick. He's like best friends with Adam Sandler.
Okay, I'm going back because I just did a deep dive on Jamie Lynn Sigler, do you know her father-in-law is Lenny Dykstra?
I was just going to say that.
What?
She married.
How do I not know that?
Cutter yes.
Dykstra.
Is that crazy?
That is as crazy as her father-in-law.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that.
Oh, my gosh.
How did I not know that? That's great. Okay, final one.
And by the way, Dan Patrick's in a lot of those Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah.
Just showing up in the background, a line or two here or there.
My favorite story about him, real quick. He was at a bar or something, and somebody was a stranger giving him trouble, and he just looked at him in that Dan Patrick sly way and says, "Watch it, Scarecrow. You're playing with fire."
Oh, whoa.
Isn't that a good line?
I think I might be afraid of Dan Patrick.
Yeah. This guy was in The Usual Suspects, but I know him best. Have you ever seen Bullets Over Broadway? Woody Allen?
Maybe.
Very funny, very underrated. Anyway, Chaz Palminteri.
Oh.
I'm going to guess.
Terrific actor.
Yes, he is.
77.
Oh, that's a good guess. 78.
He's 74. And those are the birthdays for today.
Okay, and Jamie Lynn Sigler does have MS.
MS.
And she was on Guys with Kids, a sitcom on NBC from 2012 to 2013. It didn't last long, but it was created by Jimmy Fallon. So,
all right.
That is your evening entertainment report here on the Big 550 KTRS. It's about 7 minutes before 6. Let's get one final check of traffic with Captain Paul.
Heidi, no accidents, but 70 East is congested from 170 to Bermuda. 70 West is crowded in Lake St. Louis. 64 West jammed from Lake St. Louis Boulevard to I-70. 64 East bogs down from 170 to Big Bend. 270 North is heavy from Manchester to 64. And in Illinois, 64 East is congested between 111 and 157. This traffic report is brought to you by Dents Express. Drive time can be hectic with traffic, weather, and fender benders. Dents Express can help with hassle-free dent removal, minor collision repair, and hail damage repair. Free evaluations, and they take care of the insurance paperwork. They've got 2 locations on Manchester and Baldwin and in St. Charles. Dents Express, STL.com. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let me tell you about family jeweler Lordo's Diamonds that has been a proud sponsor at KTRS for over 20 years. If you need jewelry, whether brand new diamonds, earrings, necklaces, bracelets, maybe something for the gentleman in your life, a nice new watch, or maybe something for the daughter or the son, Lordo's is where you want to go. Right there in Ladue on Clayton Road, a family jeweler, well-respected, well-trusted for generations here in St. Louis. Lordo's or LordosDiamonds.com.
Battlehawk fans, Saturday, May 16th at 2 p.m., St. Louis takes on the Houston Gamblers. It's hats off to heroes, honoring those who serve our country and community. First 10,000 fans score a free Battlehawks hat, courtesy of St. Luke's. Get your tickets now at UFLBattlehawks.com.
United we battle. When you send a text to the Big 550, do you wonder if we see all of them? Of course we do. We do pay attention and love your interaction on the Big 550 text line at 84126. Don't like something? Love something? Just let us know. Thanks for being a part of the KTRS family. And keep the text coming. We are the Big 550, the talk and text of St. Louis. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
All right, let's wrap this show up, this Friday up, with a couple randoms.
Alex Trebek was the front runner to become the host of Hockey Night in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no question about it.
Yeah.
1971. I mean, that would have made his career.
I think he did okay.
At least in Canada.
Yeah.
But the network boss refused, saying, "We're not hiring him. We don't hire guys with
a mustache.
mustaches."
Wow.
Oh, take off, hoser.
Man.
Now, did Alan Thicke ever wear a mustache? No. Okay.
We don't hire mustaches.
It's all coming together. 1830s, ketchup was turned into pills and sold as medicine to treat indigestion.
Ketchup?
Ketchup.
Maybe that's why Bob Ramsey is not a fan.
Yeah.
Oh, I love me some ketchup. Some of the names for Sesame Street that got rejected were The Video Classroom, boring, 123 Avenue B. I kind of like
Yeah.
it. And Fun Street.
What about Avenue Q? Oh, no, that was something else.
It is really funny.
It's very
And
funny.
very raunchy.
And very raunchy.
Do not take the kids.
No. And then finally, Henry Ford started 2 car companies before the Ford Motor Company. One called the Detroit Automobile Company and one simply called the Henry Ford Company. But let that be a lesson to all you entrepreneurs out there.
Keep trying.
Henry Ford failed at least 2 other times before that.
Very interesting. You guys, thanks for hanging out with us all week long. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and hopefully you'll meet us back here Monday starting at 3 o'clock. Until then, see if you can put a smile on somebody's face.
Hey, it's Josh, and I want to tell you about a dentist office, My Dentist Office, and their new location, now open in Lake St. Louis Dentistry. Dr. Landgraf and the group of dentists have been my dentists my entire life. They've been my parents' dentists for their entire lives, and you don't keep generation after generation of clients unless you're really good at what you do. Now with 3 locations, Florissant, Creve Coeur, and the new one, Lake St. Louis Dentistry, half-mile from 4064, and you can get an appointment today. Check out My Dentist, LakeSt.LouisDentistry.com.
A weekend at home or a weekend RVing? Staring at your neighbor's security lights or counting stars? Watching the Travel Channel or sitting around the campfire with friends? Break away. Get out of town in an RV from Byerly in Eureka.
For the rest of your life, you gotta be there.
Staples presents Celebrations Made Easy.
I was throwing a party for the twins and had custom invites and a banner printed at Staples. And that's when I saw Party City is now at Staples.
Party City? No way!
Yep. So now Staples has all your printing needs and everything you need for a party.
Everything times 2.
Yeah, and now at Staples, save 40% on custom cards, photo gifts, wrapping paper, banners, and more.
Big news! Party City is now at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. In 613, exclusions apply.
Hey, Josh here, and I want to tell you about something near and dear to my heart.
Pizza. Dogtown Pizza, of course.
And if you've ever tried one, chances are it's near and dear to you too. 12 different varieties to choose from: 4-meat, the SOB, or the veggie. And chances are I've got a hot wing pizza in the oven as we speak. So if you want to have a serious conversation about a serious pizza, the only answer is Dogtown. Near and dear to me in every local grocery store in town and at dogtownpizza.com.
The Big 550.
KTRS St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packard. Sources tell ABC News President Trump's expected to drop his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS. This would be in exchange for the creation of a massive fund to compensate allies who claimed they were wrongfully targeted by the Biden administration.
Talk of a $1.7 billion fund to pay out claims to those who say they were unfairly targeted by the Biden administration has outraged congressional Democrats.
It's utterly fraudulent what they're doing there. It's another grift by the President of the United States.
I mean, it's outright corruption.
Pennsylvania Republican Brian Fitzpatrick says he opposes the Secret Service's request for $1 billion, a portion of which would be used to secure the new White House ballroom.
Shows a lack of priorities.
His opposition could prove key if Democrats stick together. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
President Trump returning to Washington after days of talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping. But while the White House is touting fewer new agreements, questions remain on whether China is fully on board. President Trump says Xi offered to help push Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and said China would not give away Iranian military equipment. Former Biden-era U.S. Ambassador to China, Nicholas Burns.
President Trump was right to press this issue. China has a lot of leverage on Iran. China wants the strait to open. It does not want Iran to be the toll keeper in that strait. And so now it's time for China to use that leverage. Whether they will or not, I'm just not sure.
This hour, the U.S. Supreme Court denied Virginia Democrats' request to stay the state Supreme Court decision that invalidated a voter-approved redistricting effort. Volunteer fire crews rushing today to help extinguish a massive fire at Searsmont, Maine at a lumber yard. Maine State Fire Marshal Sean Essler.
We're in Waldo County, made up of all volunteers, and what I saw was professional firefighting efforts. I saw everybody working hand in hand to pull hose lines, to move apparatus, and to put water on the fire.
11 reported injuries, all firefighters. You're listening to ABC News.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Despite an ongoing shortage of air traffic controllers, the FAA has revised its new hiring target downward. According to the new hiring plan, the FAA is hoping to add more than 12,000 controllers to facilities around the U.S. That's down from a prior target of 14,000 air traffic controllers. Staffing levels are the highest level they've been in 6 years, but it's still below a target level, especially as demand for travel has increased. A mistrial declared in the Harvey Weinstein sexual assault trial in New York. Weinstein was accused of assaulting Jessica Mann in 2013, but the jury was deadlocked.
The central point in this case was whether the testimony from Jessica Mann was consistent. Harvey Weinstein's lawyers have argued that they had an on and off relationship, and this argument used by Weinstein's lawyers successfully resulted in another mistrial last year. At this point, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg is thanking Jessica Mann for her testimony and saying that they're thinking about their next options in consultation with her.
ABC's Peter Haralambous. Mortgage rates have hit 8-month highs, up to 6.62% today. Uncertainty surrounding the war in Iran fueled the jump. A change at the top of the Federal Reserve. Chairman Jerome Powell ending his term today, and Kevin Warsh takes over. Powell's term was underscored by economic turbulence, harsh criticism from President Trump, and a criminal investigation from the Justice Department that was ultimately dropped. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Hot summer days and high energy bills are on the way. Upgrade your home's old leaky windows this month during Window Nation's Buy 4 Get 4 free sale. Yes, half of your new beautiful energy efficient windows free. Plus no money down and no monthly payments or interest for 2 years. Call now.